Can you hear me now, folks? I think you can. So let's try this again, shall we? Good morning, pop culture. We are live. It's 7:46 a.m. on Thursday, July 19th, 2018. And this morning's show is going to be a damn good one. We're going to talk about just who is the Lucasfilm Story Group. There's going to be a little more investigative journalism in quotations here on Good Morning Pop Culture than there's ever been before. We got all kinds of great stuff to cover. This is a big week for those interested in the geek universe with San Diego Comic-Con. So throughout the week, I'm going to give you guys updates on what's new, what's cool. I've been looking at the toys, so I'm excited to burn, $20,000. I'm not going to burn $20,000 on toys. I wish I could, but I can't. But my point is, there's going to be a lot coming at you from world-class bullshitters over the next, couple of nights. Maybe on Saturday night, if there's enough interest, I'll go live and we'll do a San Diego Comic-Con panel discussion. Maybe I'll bring on a couple patrons or something like that. Maybe a fan or two. Who knows? So if you guys are interested in that, press F. So while we're waiting to hit our magical number 200, last night was our Dark Knight commentary. Man, I can't speak when I haven't had any coffee in me. Excuse me. We had our Dark Knight commentary last night, which kind of got flagged for language, thanks Kendo. So I got to get that worked out before it goes live back on the channel. But that was at the request of our patron and friend Michael. So if you guys are patrons, request a movie and come on the channel and hang out. Cesario Japan, thank you very much. Adding to the San Diego Comic-Con toy fund. Well, thank you. I greatly appreciate that. Now, there's a lot of cool stuff. I woke up to my alarm going off, and then when I flipped over to Facebook for a brief moment, it was all the wrestling figures that were coming out. And this year, it's kind of light on wrestling figures, but there's some cooler high-end stuff that I'm excited for. Thank you, Joseph, for the well wishes on the channel's success. It's been doing very, very well. One thing I've liked is over the last couple of weeks, we've proven that it's not just a Star Wars channel. Yes, we talk about Star Wars a lot because that is the heart of pop culture right now. But we got a lot of fans who like entertainment from every walk of life that will listen to us talk about anything. Yesterday was a Batman show, and it was a very successful morning. So thank you to everyone who sticks around for everything. Good morning to everybody who's wishing me that. Do I think Grand Theft Auto will go back to Vice City for GTA 6? I can hope. It would be very interesting to see. You could have, if you even wanted to take this right, you have a political commentary on how Miami's changed post the cocaine cowboy era. It'd be interesting. I would definitely play Vice City Part 2. Just don't let those SJW people infect Grand Theft Auto, because I swear if they do, I won't buy it. If anything, Grand Theft Auto should make fun of that. Coffee. There we go. My night's sleep was okay. Thank you for asking. It wasn't bad. I went right to sleep after the show, but now I'm up and I'm ready to start a new day. And tonight, don't forget to catch World Class Bullshitters, episode 131. No, excuse me, episode 132, I believe. We don't know what we're going to discuss yet. Maybe we'll talk about some Comic-Con news. Who knows? It'll be a fun night. When the bullshitters get together, anything's possible. Man, Hammer Crom, you're still awake. You need some sleep, my friend. Thank you, D. Pensack. I'm glad you enjoyed the Dirty Tactics video. I hope it reaches a lot more people. It's kind of slow, but that's because it took me a while to make, and I didn't get to put it out at the time I usually want to. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed it, though. I find it really important to cover certain bases thoroughly, so the channel can never be used as an example of hate or this toxic fandom. We're just customers with a grievance, and we'll be treated as such. I don't expect them to call me personally and apologize, but what I expect is for them to change course and keep quiet for a little bit, or at least apologize. Jeff the Iron Wolf, thank you for your super chat. Waking up in SJW world. Damage report. Well, the damage has been done. Star Wars is hemorrhaging money. It's like that scene in, well, I don't want to say The Last Jedi, but it's like a scene in any movie where the side of the spaceship gets blown off and everyone's getting sucked out. and the faithful few are still holding on to the captain's chair, so no one really dies completely. Larry Bernard, thank you for your super chat. So did you hear the Last Jedi comic is retconning the movie? What do you guys think about it? I think it doesn't count unless JJ incorporates it. Well, excuse me. I was taking a bite of something. My mom's off today, so I got her some breakfast before I started the show. I did not hear about this at all. So if you guys have any more of the information, I'd like to read it. But like this, if I can find a copy of that book to read, or the comic, I will do a separate video solely on the differences and how they've retconned it. So you heard it here first. I'm going to do it. Now, I think it's stupid if you try to retcon it, because Star Wars has had... Here's the thing about Star Wars. Star Wars has had the pleasure of doing things and then using a book or a comic to fix it. But then Disney got a big dick about themselves, and they threw out the entire EU. So people that are the new Star Wars fans don't think that the required reading is well required. So they just go see the movies. And if there are any kind of gaps like that, there's going to be a problem. Are they going to go back and make a special edition of The Last Jedi? That'd be rich. I don't give a shit about it. But I will make the video about the differences between the comic and tell you guys exactly what I think. As of now, before I've read the thing, I think it's stupid. You have to go with what's on film. It's the thing most people have seen. I almost used a Terminator example, but then I realized Terminator 2 is actually a good film, so I don't think I should put Terminator 2 and The Last Jedi in the same sentence unless I say Terminator 2 is so much better than The Last Jedi, it's not even funny. So thank you, Larry Bernard. And like I said, as soon as I hear more, I will tell you guys. So we are well past our 200 threshold to start the main topic for this morning. So awesome. Thank you to everyone. It seems like people are really excited for Good Morning Pop Culture. I want to know something. I'm not making any promises or guarantees yet, but would you watch this show on a Monday? Is a Monday morning Good Morning Pop Culture something you all want? Press F if you do. Now, I'm going to be putting out Twitter polls and stuff because I'm willing to alter my schedule a little bit to do this as a Monday through Friday show, because I know people get a case of the Mondays, and Mondays suck. So if you guys are interested in a Monday morning pop culture show, just let me know, because we can make that happen. It doesn't really require any extra just for me to be up. And by the way, for you asking, I read the chat in a pop-out chat, so everything kind of scrolls by me, and I can slow it down. So yeah, a lot of people want a Monday morning show. Oh, I'll have time to sleep. Don't worry. I'll just do my videos at different intervals. I'm not promising anything yet. I'm just, canvassing the area or trying to figure out what you guys would or would not watch. Like I said, I'm going to put out a Twitter poll. I'm going to ask people on Facebook. If I get a resounding yes, cool. And I'll ask people to tell me why they would watch a morning version of this on Monday. Rocket Insano says Jendi should have been the director. Jendi Tartakovsky? Is that who you mean, Rocket Insano? That would be... I mean, if it's animation stuff, yeah, that guy... I know he didn't do the Powerpuff Girls. I know it was Craig McCracken. But Dexter's Lab and a lot of those, what was it, Samurai Jack, those late 90s, early 2000s Cartoon Network shows were awesome. And Jendi Tartakovsky is one of the main forces behind it. I think he had a Popeye film coming out that was either mostly animated or partially animated, and Sony put the kibosh on it for the fucking Emoji Movie, which, who talks about the Emoji Movie anymore? At least Popeye is something beloved. Thank you, Larry Bernard, by the way, for sending me the link on Twitter. I'll make sure I get that from Nick. Hey, Jeff, quick crazy theory. Do you think these people made shit episodes with no consistency so they could later make standalone films explaining their shit show writing? No, I don't think that Rian Johnson had that kind of stuff planned out. I think he wanted to imprint his ideals onto Star Wars in front of a big audience, and it didn't work. I think anytime you take on a big franchise, you should think to yourself, how does this benefit Star Wars? Or how does this benefit the franchise? And in Rian Johnson's case, it doesn't, and he didn't. So let's talk about the main feature for it this morning. Now, this is an ongoing discussion. We're going to go in and out of it, so be prepared. It's a little bit of a long read, and I'm not going to read it all in one dense sitting. We'll take a break. I'll ask you guys questions. You can chime in here and there. This is important, and I won't have time to make a video today about it, but it's new, and I don't want to miss the boat on any more things. So this comes from the Reddit Saltier Than Crate. Yes, it's the name of the Reddit. So here's Kiri Hart. And that's enough. So yesterday, I wrote a comment looking for more information on the story group and the people involved. I went ahead and started researching, and I was absolutely dumbfounded to discover that collectively, they have practically zero experience in writing or entertainment. It was suggested that I make a post of that info, so here it is. And by the way, I want to look for the person's name. This comes from, I don't know. It just says Saltier Than Crate. So when I do a solid video on this, this person's going to get all the credit in the world. So shout out to them if they're a fan of the channel. If not, thank you for your post, and we're going to be talking about this for a while. Let's start with the head of the story group, Kiri Hart. Kiri Hart's experience is, to say the least, lacking. Her writing credentials are one episode of Crossing Jordan in 2003 and one episode of 1-800-MISSING, also in 2003. She worked as a story editor on 7 episodes of Crossing Jordan in 2003, and then nothing is listed on her IMDb until 2014, when she earned a credit on a Phineas and Ferb Star Wars special. I have absolutely no idea why this person was chosen to lead the new Lucasfilm story group that would be in charge of continuity and crafting the overarching stories between the trilogies and standalone films. Not only did she never work on anything Star Wars, but she only ever wrote 2 episodes of television 9 years before being hired by Kathleen Kennedy. WTF. Here's a 2017 New York Times article about Kiri Hart and the story group. This part stood out to me. Kathleen Kennedy founded the group in 2012 when she succeeded George Lucas as president of Lucasfilm, putting Kiri Hart, a former film and TV writer, in charge of the unit. Miss Hart's first move was to make the story group entirely female, starting with Rain Roberts and Carrie Beck. Both women had experience in film development, but had also worked in other areas, other arenas. Miss Roberts in magazine publishing, and Miss Black in Sundance at the Sundance Institute. So there's our first problem right there. Her first move was to make sure the story group was entirely female. I'll save tangents, but you should canvass who the majority of Star Wars fans are and cater to them. I'm just saying. Star Wars, there are female fans. There are a lot of dude fans. I'm seriously speechless learning that Kiri Hart's primary criteria for choosing people to hire for the story group was their gender. Let's take a look next at Kiri Hart's first 2 hires, Rain Roberts and Carrie Beck. Rain Roberts' IMDb states that her experience prior to the story group was an assistant to someone on a movie called Life as We Know It, and as an associate producer on the 2008 documentary called The Fair Trade. That's it. Nothing else before joining the Lucasfilm story group. Carrie Beck's experience isn't any better. Her only experience listed on IMDb before joining the story group was an executive producer for a made-for-TV show movie in 2010 called Ghosts/Aliens. That's all. Pretty weak experience in film development, as the New York Times article puts it. So let's go on and take a look at the rest of the Lucasfilm story group members. Up next is Diana Williams. No experience listed at all prior to joining the Lucasfilm story group. Leland Chee has the most experience with Star Wars. Prior to joining the Lucasfilm story group, his experience with Star Wars was as game tester in 1998, as well as working in Lucasfilm licensing in 2006. Not exactly a writer, but at least this person had some experience working on Star Wars projects, even if it was just testing video games in the 90s. Pablo Hidalgo is the most well-known name of the Lucasfilm story group. His credentials aren't any better than his peers. His experience prior to joining the Lucasfilm story group was an uncredited visual artist on 3 projects in 1999 and 2000. Then he played an uncredited extra in Revenge of the Sith in 2005. it before joining the Lucasfilm story group. Pretty weak credentials for someone who's supposedly in charge of crafting the overarching story and maintaining consistency, as well as dealing with the public via social media. He had no experience in any of those things before joining the Lucasfilm story group. I'm pretty sure I had heard his name, though, in terms of some Star Wars stuff. Maybe he had written some Star Wars books or done something like that. But just as a side note, a Jeff note, if you will, I'm pretty sure Pablo Hidalgo has been involved more than that. I'm actually going to do a separate video on this, and I'm going to do a little more research to make sure that when I put out the World Class Bullshitters video version of this, it goes a little deeper. Not knocking this post at all. This post is very important. Next up is Matt Martin. He has no credits on IMDb, so it's pretty safe to assume he had no writing, story, or Star Wars experience prior to joining the Lucasfilm story group. Steve Blank had no experience prior to joining the Lucasfilm story group. So Steve Blank was blank, but tish. James Waugh has no IMDb listing, so we're going to assume he has no experience prior to Lucasfilm story group. Josh Rhimes is one of the more experienced members of the group, having worked as a producer on BoJack Horseman and The Booth at the end of 2010 and 2014, as well as working as a logger and production secretary for Curb Your Enthusiasm and a series called Smith in the early 2000s. At least this guy had some notable experience in the entertainment world before joining the Lucasfilm story group. He wrote one television episode of a show called Strange Adventures in 2006. This makes him the only member of the Lucasfilm story group who's actually written anything besides Kiri Hart. The sum total of their writing credentials are 3 television episodes in the 2000s. What the fuck? Stephen Fader has no credit. And then, last but not least, comes Cara Pardo, who has no experience before joining the group. Her only credits are as herself in the Star Wars After Show, as well as an extra on the Star Wars show. She is listed as an executive assistant to the group, so she probably is not getting. So she's probably getting lunch for the people like Kiri Hart, Rain Roberts, etc. That's it. There's your Lucasfilm story group and their collective experience. I don't know about the rest of you, but I am speechless. I really don't know what to say. How the hell did this happen? Why did Disney let a group of people with zero experience play such an important role in the franchise they paid $4 billion for? The members of the group are probably getting 6-figure salaries too. My biggest question, however, is what exactly was the metric used by Kathleen Kennedy and Kiri Hart for hiring these people? It wasn't obviously writing, entertainment, or television experience, nor was it experience in the Star Wars universe. It looks like they only hired one person within Lucasfilm's existing pool of employees. So what exactly were the qualifications and experience they were looking for when choosing people to hire for the Lucasfilm story group? That's what I want to know. I think we're over the target regarding who to blame for the sorry state of Star Wars today. Kathleen Kennedy, Rian Johnson, Kiri Hart, and Lucasfilm story group seem to be the culprits. Okay, so here we are. I told you it was a little bit of a long read. Thank you for everyone sticking around, though. That was awesome. But what do you guys think about this? For me, like they always say, the old adage, it's not about who you know or what you know, it's who you know. That seems to be the case here. I don't know what Kiri Hart or any of these people said to Kathleen Kennedy to get their job, but they're not doing good work. They're quite frankly, they're terrible at it. There are so many inconsistencies. If you would have had Lucas or other people, like with the money Disney had, why not get Timothy Zahn? Why not get all the people that used to work on Star Wars books? Get what's that guy's name? He did the Star Wars scrapbook when I was a kid. Get him, get Timothy Zahn, get a couple other prolific sci-fi writers, and one fantasy writer or something. And, build a group like that. Let's catch up with the super chats real quick before I read what you guys think about this. Jaron Ricewig says, after the Battle of Endor, Grand Admiral Thrawn nearly destroyed the New Republic. Too bad he didn't. Then we wouldn't have this shitty new trilogy. Yeah, you almost want the heroes to die for how bad they've gotten. You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the last Jedi. But thank you, Jaron Ricewig. I appreciate that. Larry Bernard says, Pablo was also a chief at Wikipedia. Well, I wrote an article on Wikipedia about The Rock. Just saying. Thank you, Larry Bernard. Jaron Ricewick again. Thank you very much. Let's hire writers with no experience to continue the greatest franchise ever created. This makes less sense than mixing mustard and chocolate milk. Ooh. I don't even need to taste that to know it sounds like an abomination. So, good analogy. It just sounds like shit. American Trent 007. This makes sense. Garbage in, garbage out. Joke. Thank you, Trent. High Reclusiar Kermaldus says, dude, who knows? I'd give my left arm to hear someone on the inside. Good morning, by the way. Well, good morning to you, High Reclusiar Kermaldus. Don't ever give your left arm unless you're going to replace it with a red arm and never tell anyone why it happened. But I keep saying, or keep hoping that somehow they have a very similar Sony email leak. I'm not advocating anybody here do anything about it, but if they do, if something happens, like if the information comes out, I'd love to know all the shit that is said. I'd be on the air 24/7 discussing those emails. I wouldn't get much sleep. I wouldn't go to the gym. Wouldn't do anything. I would read those emails. We need to know what's going on the inside. I'm pretty sure there are questions like, how do you turn on a lightsaber? And what is hyperspace? And this and that. And who was Darth Vader's wife? And all that kind of dumb shit like that. I bet you they knew the basics. They knew who Harrison Ford was because it's Harrison Ford. But none of those people probably knew who played Chewbacca underneath the suit or who directed The Empire Strikes Back. Very basic things that if you're working at Star Wars, you need to know. Now, a lot of people are asking, how did Kathleen Kennedy allow this to happen? Because she's a damn hack. Let's be honest here. Her experience with Lucas and Spielberg did not involve anything creatively. She was just there for a long time. So for her, while this was a step up in work, she wasn't really qualified to do or tell people to be creative. She knows the money. She knows how to schmooze. That's why she goes to press events and all this other shit. Midnight Cherry TV, thank you very much for your super chat. IMDb isn't that accurate, but working on film/TV has made me hate it all. The people, the movies, etc. This morning show has been my morning escape. Well, thank you, Midnight Cherry TV. I appreciate the super chat as well as the compliment, and I also appreciate the fact, actually I don't appreciate the fact that there's no Mystery Men reference in there, man. So I'm hurt a little bit. No, but I understand IMDb is not 100% accurate. That's why I said when I do a video on this, I'm going to read a little deeper into it, because IMDb can be altered and changed, and there are other jobs, like they don't list writers that wrote other things. So I'll need to do a little more research, but I feel like this video thing is a good jumping off point, or this post is a good jumping off point to give you an idea of who to look up and see what they've done in terms of television. So yes, Midnight Cherry TV, I agree, IMDb is not 100% accurate, but at least it's a starting point. So that's pretty awesome. So thank you, Midnight Cherry TV. Jesus A. Ceballos Jr. says, morning, Jeff. Was just listening to the High Council, was wondering, how do they factor in Movie Pass and AMC A-List when it comes to box office totals? Let's see. Probably, I think the theater pays for that or some shit like that. I don't know exactly how it works. I think it's theater buys so many tickets and then they send a thing to the studio. I don't really know 100% about that. If anyone out there actually works for a movie chain or something like that, let me know. I know a couple people at my local theater that I could ask next time I'm there. But off the top of my head, I don't know. And let me know what you thought of this week's High Council. Did you like a serious approach, or do you like the fun, zany antics that was before? And I thought Pat from Please Rewind was fantastic. I hope you guys have subscribed to his channel, because the guy is really smart and really up on his shit. And I want to get him and Mauler and Dishonored Wolf together on a stream here on the channel. So be on the lookout for that. And Doomcock as well. So thank you. Jesus. Reed Plancha says, this is like getting the Sistine Chapel painted by the Spanish Inquisition. Well, no one would expect that. But let's see. A lot of good mornings. Yeah, but to jump off your super chat, Reed, Star Wars, I'll also use it like you had unskilled workers build a Cadillac, and you get out on the road and you die instantly. It's like that scene in Tommy Boy when he has the model car and he's just crashing it into the other model car. And for some reason, I'm crashing my hands into each other even though you can't see it. And, it catches fire. And that's where we are. Lucasfilm Story Group is a dumpster fire. Big Chap, thank you very much. 3PO fell asleep at a Lando orgy, woke up with a red arm. Ooh, at least it wasn't brown. Okay, so we're all caught up on those super chats. Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you very much. You believe that nostalgia and a lack of storytelling is why Star Wars is failing as a franchise. That's a pretty good point to bring up. Now, how do you feel about the nostalgia? Do you feel that they're too focused on nostalgia or they're not focused enough on nostalgia? I think they should respect the past, but move forward and tell stories that don't involve this same lineage. Like, it'd be cool if Luke was the deciding, like if Luke was still involved, but Han and Leia and their kids and all that shit had gone their own way. This Kylo Ren becoming a Dark Jedi or Sith or whatever the fuck he's called nowadays was lame. And everything just felt so small. Just reading some of these. See, Jaron Ricewig, thank you very much for your super chat and good morning. My great-grandmother used to be a costume designer for some movie set. I would ask her what movie set it was, but rest in peace, I can't. Funny, I remember her liking Star Wars. A female fan? Oh my lands. Yeah, there were female fans there. Even if you didn't like Princess Leia and you like Han and Luke, here's the thing, guys, and I'm sure there's some women that listen to this show. I can look at the analytics. I think it's like 4% female. So we could figure out those numbers and do the math, but I don't like math. You can like the opposite gender on screen. Women can like James Bond for the action. Maybe they don't think he's that slick. Maybe they just like him because he's a badass dude. I like Princess Leia because she's cool. There are, like in Miami Vice, I think Gina and Trudy are pretty decent characters. You can have males and females that like something, and it doesn't have to be forced or stupid. That's why a lot of the people that they hired are probably nepotism hires. Hey, I know you, or we all have the same beliefs. We go to the same Starbucks type of thing. It's like the milkshake girls that Diversity in Comics talked about. It's so weird that these weird fringe minority people control all of our entertainment. Now, I don't talk about the politics or the media and all that kind of stuff, but it's important to know that the like those weird ideologies running rampant through basically entertainment that should be for everybody, and it turns you off. I think the entry point to Star Wars has gotten smaller and smaller now because the spectacle of Star Wars that would hook you back in the day is gone. And then the storytelling, the mythic aspect, the thing that hits you right in the feels, the everyman story is gone too, replaced with weird ideologies. And now they're hurting money, and you're finding out why that's the case. And I don't think enough people in the general audience care enough to fix that or to come back to the movie if they fire everybody. It's not going to be like, oh man, they got rid of the story group, I'm back on board. If you didn't like the movie, you didn't like the movie. I don't think your average person that skipped out on Solo was like, oh man, Ron Howard, they fired the last two directors, blah, blah, blah. They just were like, I didn't like the last one, I'm not going to see this one. It's funny how all these film pundits try to act like, oh, a movie came out 2 weeks before and people couldn't afford to go to the movie again. Let's say your average person that goes to see Star Wars or Marvel and stuff like that are going to see them all. Doesn't mean they're going to take 20 people or even a family of 5 to see all these movies. Could be a date night, could be a solo thing like we do on the podcast. We all go see the movie ourselves. So $9 isn't a big deal to spend $9 on a movie. I just found that all these excuses piled up, and now they led nowhere. Actually, they did lead somewhere. They led to this. They led to this article. We now know who's behind the scenes. If you had someone that worked there that gave a shit and knew Star Wars and wasn't strung up on kissing Kiri Hart's ass, we may have a much better Star Wars franchise. We may have a world where we're all excited to watch the next episode. You know, episode 9 would be the most anticipated film ever. Not anymore. There's nothing. It has a weird resolution, and they've allowed that. These people are in charge. Them and Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy. I wonder how much those people are responsible for the Force Awakens being a rehash. Do you think they just cashed their checks and watched the original movie and said, hey, this is it. This is what we're going to do. And then J.J. Abrams came in and filled in the blanks. I'm not saying he's innocent in any of this. He's equally to blame in my book because that movie did a lot of damage too. But you got to wonder what the situation is fully. And yeah, somebody in the comments just mentioned all they do is copy. All they're doing, they killed the EU to copy it. These are like those lazy kids in school where somebody else wrote a really great paper and then they got access to it and they paraphrased it and they passed and then they lied and said, you cheated and you failed. There's just so many fucking problems with the story group. How am I getting messages from the guys on the podcast? I don't know. Nick messaged me, guys. I apologize for that. Oh, here we go. I guess he's telling me about the comic book. So, sorry about that, folks. But thank you, Jaron Racewig. I appreciate that. Good question. Why do the sequels get leeway for being bad but not the prequels? I think because we've been conditioned to say that the Star Wars prequels are terrible films, and it's socially acceptable, much like no one cared about Jake Lloyd going through worse shit than Kelly Marie Tran or Daisy Ridley. See, it was rumored that Daisy Ridley was going through some shit, and she quit herself. No Star Wars fan was responsible. Kelly Marie Tran's thing still hasn't come out, so we'll find out next year. But no one's done anything about Jake Lloyd. They posture with Ahmed Best. They posture with those other two women. But somebody who actually has real issues, no one's helped. Why doesn't the Lucasfilm story group, instead of taking raises, go help that dude's mental health or do something like that? Why don't you make a goodwill gesture that actually will benefit someone and not just look good on the internet? That's what a lot of this shit is. I'm not going to get into charity and crap like that. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother channel. But to quote a friend of mine, my best friend, if you believe in something, you have to believe in it all the time. And I believe that they're just looking for good PR and press. That's all they care about. They want to look good. They want to work less and fuck around in an office. I bet you, well, it's early in the morning in California, so I don't think they're at work yet. But I bet when they get to work, they roll in, they drink their coffee for a couple hours, and they just throw ideas around, and nothing productive is done. You'd think right now they'd be, in like fucking fifth gear to get their shit out there for Star Wars Episode 9. But lo and behold, they're worried about dumb shit. A lot of people throwing out some love to the channel. Thank you, guys. I'll forgive you, Johnny Five, for not watching the last High Council. If you guys aren't up to date, it was a good episode. If you didn't like it, sorry. But hey, we do what we do every week to entertain you guys. What year would I go back to the DeLorean with? If I could fit in the DeLorean, probably I would just go back to the 80s and buy some stock in companies and come back and be very rich. That would be my plan. Jaron Ricewick, another super chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. My mom used to dislike Star Wars, but in the hype for The Force Awakens, I finally showed it to her in release order, and she loved them. After we saw The Force Awakens, her first words were, "What the hell was that?" Well, Jaron Ricewig, your mom has good taste. Now, the funny thing is, my mom used to hate Star Wars because she was in high school when the first one came out. She graduated right when the first Star Wars movie came out. And then, like I've told on the show, she dated a guy that worked for Kenner, so she got to see Empire, an advanced screening, like before everybody else, and then Return of the Jedi because it was popular. But she hated Star Wars. And then I got into it as a kid, and she hated that I was into it, but over time, because I watched it so much, she kind of got into it. So now she's okay with Star Wars to a point where she knows the elements and likes the spiritual aspect of the Force. And then I showed her part of the Force Awakens, and she goes, "What is this? Who's this girl? Blah 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 blah." She couldn't get into it. It felt so different from what she was used to, and she just couldn't buy into that. So I wonder what she would do if she saw The Last Jedi. I wonder what your mom would say if she saw The Last Jedi. We had another one pop up. Brad Norris, thank you very much for your super chat. Good morning, Jeff. To play advocate for the big stupid devil Rian Johnson can be a half decent director, but he's a piss poor writer and storyteller. I only had Breaking Bad and Looper to judge Rian Johnson off of. And before this movie, I thought, I liked Looper. This could be interesting because I hated The Force Awakens so much. It was one of those scenarios where I thought, it can't get much worse. And I was really, really wrong. The same thing goes with The Force Awakens. I thought, oh man, the prequels, I'm ready for something new. They're bringing back the original cast. This is going to be awesome. No, I was wrong. Now, like we've said on this show before, with Rian Johnson, he directed some Breaking Bad episodes, but it was the producers, Vince Gilligan's and all those people that really made the show, and the directors just kind of come in, do their thing, and leave. With Looper, I'll give him credit, and I haven't seen anything else he's done outside of The Last Jedi, and he fucked that up. Oh my God, I'm having like war flashbacks to last Friday night, and you know what the best part is? I have to do it again for Jeremy with The Force Awakens this week, so that's going to be fun for no one. I can't even say it straight. Ugh. But yeah, I always like when people play devil's advocate. It's fine. I mean, I like to have a discussion, a debate, if you will. Argument's not a bad thing in my book. We learn differently in college. That argument is just a way to hash out different ideas, not an actual fight. So thank you, Brad Norris. I appreciate that. Let's see, a lot of messages pop up. This has been a great morning. A lot of people here, guys. Thank you. Just trying to catch up. Looper. D's Nuts does not like Looper. Grand Inquisitor enjoyed the video yesterday. Thank you, Grand Inquisitor. I'm glad you guys checked it out. I like doing the single videos. I feel like I can present my ideas in the most direct way. This show's fun because it's on air and you guys can help dictate the show any way you want. But that's a little more direct. And I miss those, but that's okay. I'll make it happen both times. Brian Johnson, not Rian Johnson. Isn't Brian Johnson the lead singer of AC/DC? And also the kid that pissed in Bethany's hair in Dogma? Larry Bernard says, you guys should watch Brick, Ryan's first flick. Thank you, Larry Bernard, for your super chat. Maybe when we're all together, we'll watch it. I want to suffer with Dion and Kendo and Nick in the same room so we can look at each other and go, dude, I feel you. Have another beer. Yes, Back to the Future is not only a good time travel movie, it's a great time travel movie. And my favorite film of all time. So believe me, I'm excited for watching the first movie repeatedly to cleanse my brain of the garbage that is modern Star Wars. Someone asked about the Fast and Furious franchise and what I liked, something I liked about it more than Star Wars. If it's all Star Wars movies, it'll be easier. If it's just the first one, well, okay. If Fast and Furious versus modern Star Wars, Fast and Furious wins hands down. Even though the stories are dumb, it's fun to watch. Like Jason Statham and The Rock, they have great chemistry. No one in modern Star Wars, even the prequels, no one has that kind of chemistry on film. I think one thing that is missing from most movies that the Marvel movies do have is that these are all stories of people, and how the people interact and how the people behave are the important things. We are all people, unless we identify as attack helicopters, but we're all people, and we can sympathize or empathize with a lot of the things that the characters are going through. When we see these human relationships that either we have or we want to have, we get it. It's we attach ourselves to those characters a little more. Like I used to watch that movie I Love You Man, and I think to myself, man, I really want a friendship like Paul Rudd and the guy, his friend Sydney in the movie. I can't think of his name. Jason, can't think of his fucking name, from How I Met Your Mother. I used to want a friendship like that, and then I realized I have friendships like that, and it made me like the movie even more. So when I watch the Fast and Furious movies, I do like the family first shit that they have. I think that's a pretty cool dynamic, and it makes sense for what they do for each other. Are they the perfect movies? No, they're very convoluted at times, but at least Fast and the Furious has better continuity than modern Star Wars. Overall, if I have to compare them, the original trilogy trumps everything, so that's kind of a hard sell. But I like questions like that, and I feel like there's a lot of love for the Fast and Furious, so maybe I'll do a watch party down the road. We'll do like whenever the next one comes out, we'll do a 16-hour, 20-hour stream of nothing but Fast and Furious movies, and we'll see who has the ultimate endurance. Jaron Ricewick says, here's one more super chat for having the sheer willpower to sit through The Force Awakens again. Unrelated, but I'm surprised you recognized my icon a while back. Did I say Splatoon, right? I play video games. I like Nintendo and all that stuff. I'm excited for the next Super Smash Brothers. But like I've told you guys, I just don't have a lot of free time to play. But that doesn't mean I don't go to IGN and the websites and read up on these characters and shit like that. So thank you, Jaron Ricewick. I appreciate that. And I will have the willpower to sit through The Force Awakens. I'll also have beer. So, don't give my willpower all the credit in the world. Alcohol, it does a body. Well, it doesn't do a body good. It does a brain good to forget. Rhino4563, thank you very much. Jeff, when the hell did Kendo and Cecil become friends? Don't get me wrong, it was hysterical, but when? I was hypnotized by their chat last night. Where were they at? Was Kendo on Cecil's channel? Because Kendo sent in an image that just said, and now this is happening, but I didn't realize that they were on Cecil's channel. I went directly to bed, and those guys are still asleep for the most part. So I'll have to check that out. If it was funny, I'll check it out. But maybe Cecil can be the 12th member of the World Class Bullshitters crew. When we've exhausted all the guys on the show, and you, Rhino, and a couple other people, then we'll call in Cecil. Cecil's the cleanup. Reed Plancha, thank you very much. Glad to catch up on your videos. You give a different slant to the information. It is a geek fest is this a geek fest or a nerd one? I don't know, man. Was it like that they say we are geeks, not nerds? I just put it like this. This is shit I've always been into, even when it wasn't cool. You would have heard discussions with me talking about Spider-Man or Star Wars and shit like that. Not to as many people, and not with delicious coffee provided by no sponsor. But I don't know. Geek, nerd, I just say it's me, and that's what I like to talk about. So back to this story group thing. It's laughable to see how unprepared they are. It makes me scared though, because look at how they did it with Marvel. This all had to be part of a plan. They get all these unqualified editors in there, and then you keep these woke writers around, and then the good artists and the good writers jump to independent stuff in the quest for more money, but then the big stuff suffers. There was a time when they considered canceling Batman. There was a time where they considered canceling Spider-Man. These big characters, even when the sales were way higher than they are now, there were times where it was considered feasible or possible to cancel these books. We now live in a time where it seems feasible to just get rid of Star Wars. How can these people have the power to make people hate the things they love the most? Is it some weird nihilistic jerk-off session, or is it just bad storytelling and they're just so ill-equipped for what they're doing that this is a byproduct of it? They think they're doing good work, but they're not. And so when people criticize it, they lash out. Constructive criticism is a thing. They need to learn how to accept it. Cecil can lead West Coast bullshitters. Spin-off featuring old veteran Kendo and fake Cecil. I like it. I like it a lot. West Coast bullshitters featuring Cecil and Kendo. I should make them shirts. Can't wait till EVS comments on the same topic, says D. Pensack. Well, the early bird gets the worm. Nah, EVS is cool in my book. Good guy. Jeremy, and I, we help each other out. Brian Lape, Channel Dad, says, Geekfest, I'm the only nerd. Sure, Lape. I hope you liked that picture of your daughter I sent you with a beard. I got an email that says Brian Lape uploaded a video, and that was the image. So for some reason, I put that on the Snapchat filter, and that happened. Abomino, I do like Stephen King, so any recommendation for Stephen King work is welcomed. I admit I haven't read the books. I've watched a lot of the movies, but the Dark Tower movie looked terrible, so I passed on it. I actually went to the theater to see it, and then I walked out and decided to go eat dinner instead. But I'll check it out. So people are telling me about a Star Wars poll over on the official page. Should I pull? Talk amongst yourselves for a moment. I don't have a topic, but let's look this up real quick. The Star Wars poll, and let's laugh at that together. Somebody said they posted to the Facebook group. Let me give that person a shout out. That came from Sean. Rob Liefeld's on a Star Wars show? Ooh. A girl dressed as Clone Wars Obi-Wan. It's weird. The minute I want to look it up, I can't find it. There's all kinds of garbage going on the Star Wars website. Hey, Sean, if you're over on the Facebook page, do me a favor, repost it. I don't know if there's going to be another Need for Speed game. I haven't played one in quite a while. I'm behind. Cesario Japan says the Disney shareholders would be livid on this. Probably. The Disney shareholders are the only people that can hold them responsible. The email is worldclassbs@mail.com, thebestmail.com. Did I ever like the character General Grievous? Yes, I liked General Grievous. He was fine. He was cool to look at. I'm not saying he was that deep because I didn't read into his stuff, or if there was a Clone Wars episode that told his history or something like that. I remember that. But from what I saw in film in 2005 and what I saw on the Clone Wars TV show in 03, 02? No, 03, 04, I thought that was cool. I thought he was cool enough. George Lucas did have a problem, though, of introducing fairly interesting villains only to kill them off rather quickly. Darth Maul should have been the overarching villain, and that should have been the trial for Anakin to become a Jedi and then turn and all this other shit instead of... I mean, I liked Obi-Wan killing him, don't get me wrong. But you need an over... The funny thing is, when Lucas has created essentially 3 interesting villains in the prequels, they all die off. When Disney creates one shitty villain, they can't get rid of him. Nobody wins. You're watching Drake and Josh. Jesus. Logan Michael, 69, thank you for your super chat. I can't wait for the NECA reveals for San Diego Comic-Con. Well, Logan Michael, they've already happened. There's been some leaks, my man. There's a John Connor figure coming out from NECA. Yes, it looks like Edward Furlong. There's also an Ace Ventura figure coming out from NECA. So, Logan, just go over to Facebook, check it out, and, don't wet your pants with excitement, because there's some shit I can't wait to check out. Better bionics than Vader. Huh. The hero is only as good as the villain. That's a true statement right there, Wayne. And Rey, I always called her Wayne, and Rey is the lamest of the lame. Sure. Let me pull up the Lucasfilm story group again. Sorry, I was going to pull up that poll. And here we go. Let me do a little zoom in so you guys can actually see this. So the people in the Lucasfilm story group are Kiri Hart, Rain Roberts, Carrie Beck, Diana Williams, Leland Shee, Pablo Hidalgo, Matt Martin, Steve Blank, James Waugh, Josh Rhimes, Stephen Fetter, and Cara Pardo. So there's those woke folks right there for you. Jaron Ricewig, thank you very much. Jeff, you know your shit Has there been, you know your shit, has there been another franchise in all of history that has taken such a nosedive? Trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, Terminator took a nosedive, and it's kind of a joke. I keep thinking of Terminator for some reason, but I'm not a big Terminator like diehard fan. I think other franchises that have taken a nosedive have also taken breaks. I mean, there's a 10 or 12 year gap between 2 and 3. Then there was a 6 or 7 year gap or 5 year gap between 3 and 4. I don't think there's ever been an example of such franchise suicide as Star Wars. You know, in these textbooks that I read for college, they talk about business decisions and this and that. There's going to be a time when the Lucasfilm story, or whatever the hell you're going to call it, will be referenced in textbooks or internet academic documents, where it's like, hey, they started to do this and then it went down and this happened, and people try to figure out what happened. You know, like Company Man, he makes those videos. Disney, what happened to Lucasfilm, or shit like that. This will be used as a cautionary tale, because even if you don't prescribe to the idea that it's the woke politics that is ruining Star Wars, the way they treat the fans and the anger towards us turns off a lot of people. And it's basically going to be, down the road, I'll make a video called like Lucasfilm, an example of bad customer service or something like that, and give all the reasons why. People can't forget this shit, and I don't think with the internet will allow them to forget it. They've pissed off the wrong group of people. They've said the wrong things. It's just in bad taste. But I can't think of another, like, the James Bond franchise hasn't done anything stupid like that. No superhero movie has done anything stupid like that yet, and I stress yet. No, I'm going to stick with Star Wars as the only franchise that I can think of, based on like franchises I have on my shelf that I'm looking at, that has taken such a nosedive and failed in every way. Storytelling, PR, merchandise, all of it. Like, I think a lot of people would be really forgiving if Star Wars sucked ass at the movies, but they were awesome video games, like 1313 came out and all that shit. Them canceling everything and trying to start fresh was just a bad idea. Disney has not released a good video game in a long time. Big Chat, thank you for your super chat, and I love your icon, by the way. Jeff, Hasbro display at San Diego Comic-Con has L3 arm round Lando. So now they're just antagonizing the fans. That's all it is. Maybe they should stop antagonizing the fans, because I guess they're just looking for attention. They're like, oh man, World Class Bullshitters made a video about Lando and L337 and all this shit. Is it worth it? I think it was notable when they were making an action figure, when everybody hated the fucking toy and they announced it. Hey, there's this toy coming out, and then Enfy's Nest and all that other shit too. But this is just antagonistic bullshit. And Hasbro can't really risk pissing off people, because they don't sell enough figures from Star Wars to have a set of balls on them to do shit like that. Sorry for the lewd analogy. Yeah, they pissed off the small movie theaters by making them run the piece of shit for an extra 2 weeks in their biggest theaters. Yes, the way The Last Jedi was forced on a lot of smaller movie chains will not be forgotten. A lot of these chains will opt for Jumanji or Wicked over Star Wars if they have to. I talked about it, I believe, on Tuesday's show, where they got away with it once, they won't again. And then episode 3 in my local theaters, episode 3 didn't even show up my biggest local theater, and the theater's still running. And the small chain that got Revenge of the Sith isn't around anymore. Yeah, Ghostbusters is a close second. That's a good example. Ghostbusters is covered up on my shelf by a Tommy Boy bobblehead, so that's why I didn't see it and go, Ghostbusters. You wonder why Star Wars went the Ghostbusters route. They had all that goodwill. I seemed like the crazy asshole in the street saying, oh, Star Wars is doomed. Star Wars is doomed after The Force Awakens. Nobody paid me any mind. Now they went apeshit in terms of stupidity. And they're following the Ghostbusters playbook, which is so dumb. The people that champion this online don't go see these movies, man. They don't go see these movies. Yeah, more coffee is right. I need to heat my coffee up. Cold coffee is not good when it's not intentionally. Oh my god, this is the best comment of the morning so far. Does Pando dream of electric sheep? You win the Rube 74. That was awesome. Yeah, Highlander did take a nosedive as well. Stuff like Highlander just needs to take a break or never be made again. Re-release the original, put out some merchandise, and let's get over it. They don't buy stuff, period. That's very true. Yeah, the Ghostbuster toys are at Ollie's, D. Pensac. I wonder what Ollie's you shop at. I wonder if it's the same Ollie's as me. Today I'm going to be looking into a rumor, not even a rumor, a lead I have in terms of Star Wars merchandise. Because if it's true, or if I can find more evidence to back it up, we may have another Star Wars Toygate video type of thing. You know, we're going to blow it off. I'll be Woodward and Bernstein, and these Star Wars toys, their location is embarrassing. It's not like you get the Goodwill where somebody donated the toys, but we're below your general chain of merchandise stores. And Sean, thank you for sending in that link. Let me look it up on the Facebook page real quick, and then I will bring it to everyone's attention. Okay, there you are. So let's have some fun with this. This is what Good Morning Pop Culture is. It's a fun show. It's a little laid back. If you need somebody to amp you up real loud, like Rex Kwon Do, I'll just chug some of this dark roast and we'll get that rolling. But let's pull up this thing. So this is a poll. Thank you, Sean, by the way. Everyone give Sean a thank you. This is over on StarWars.com. Which Star Wars character would you take on your family's summer vacation? Would you bring a droid, a Sith Lord, or someone else? And now, let's play a game together, guys. I'm going to let you pick my vote. So here are our options. We could take BB-8, Chewbacca, Chirrut Imwe, Darth Vader, Finn, Han. This is bullshit. It's Han Solo, but it's a picture of Alden Ehrenreich. And okay. Sorry. Jabba, Jyn Erso, K2SO, Lando, Leia Organa, Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan, Krennic, Poe Dameron, Rey, Rose Tico, R2-D2, Wicket, or Yoda. So those are our options right there. And now you guys pick. While I read the next two super chats, you guys tell me who you want to vote for, and we'll vote together as a group. So if who I see the most votes for, I'll pick. So NUFCMVFC says Kyle Reese got given the Luke/Han treatment in Terminator Genesis. Yeah, he did. Terminator Genesis sucks. It's not the worst Terminator movie I've ever seen, but it's bad. I don't like Salvation or 3. But thank you, NUFCMVFC. Mark Schaefer, thank you. Mark Schaefer, thank you very much for your super chat. Alien franchise, that took a nosedive. It definitely took a nosedive in quality, but I don't recall Ridley Scott calling people sexist or whatever because of Noomi Rapace's character doing whatever. But yeah, Alien, Highlander, all those ones. I think for as much as I like those franchises and I like to watch those movies constantly, like yesterday was the anniversary of Aliens. And that's Joel's favorite movie, and I like that movie quite a bit. I think you should let those things kind of rest permanently. They're relics of the past, like Back to the Future. You can bring out merchandise, people can talk about it on anniversaries, and then you just kind of let that series die. So I'm not trying to sound morbid, but I think they should just let it go off quietly into the night. Same thing with Aliens. Same thing with Highlander and Predator and stuff like that. They were relics of their time, but we don't make movies like that anymore intentionally. Okay, cool. Bunch more popped up. I'm seeing a lot of names. I'll get to those in just a second, guys. Jaron Reiswick says, like your Napoleon Dynamite reference. Jeff, great film. I'm glad you guys catch the little things here and there. They're a lot of fun. The High Recluse Director Malda says, Star Wars merch so bad, North Koreans don't want it. No, nobody wants it. Rose Tico's mother doesn't want Rose Tico action figures. That's why she abandoned her and Paige Tico. King Eric the 15th says, in my opinion, the best Need for Speed game is Most Wanted. After that, the Underground games and Hot Pursuit are worth checking out. Oh, I've played them all. Back in the PS2 era when I was in high school and late grade school, I thought like street racing and stuff was the coolest. I wanted a Honda Civic with a tricked out body kit or a Nissan Skyline or any of that stuff. I bought into that pretty much. I thought it was cool. And when I went to see like Fast and Furious 2 and Ludacris and I had the CD, that was 13, 14-year-old Jeff. Thankfully, I've changed. But if they put out another one like that, I like racing games pretty much. Not enough to spend, $60, $70 on them, but enough to $20, $30. Maybe get a wheel if I can get one cheap. I like cars. The Pui. I'm in Cali. I'm at work. Hello, Jeff. Hello, the Pui. 5:47 in the morning. You are a dedicated person, the Pui. Hopefully you like your job. I wouldn't say hopefully you get a new one. Hopefully you like your job. That's what matters. People are telling me that Terminator Genesis is the worst Terminator movie. Can we agree that Terminator 2 is the best Terminator movie? Generic Edgelord, thank you for your super chat. Kind of messed up that Lando has more or less snuggled the Death Star 2 as he flew into it. That metal ball did not give consent for that shit. Struggle snuggled. I've never heard the phrase struggle snuggled ever in my life. That's a new thing for me, Generic Edgelord. That's why I was like, struggle snuggled. What? Oh, he took advantage of it. Well, it's dead now, so I can't really bring him up on any charges. Big Chap says, take BB-8, can kick it around the beach with the kids. Thank you, Big Chap. Another BB-8 beach ball, all the Ewoks. Brendan Horn says, Mara Jade. Thank you very much, Brendan Horn, for your super chat. NUF CMVFC, thank you for your super chat. Rogue One SJW, but enjoyable and made money. But The Last Jedi, too far. Yes, I don't know how SJWE it was. I know that there was like literally a person of every color on the Rogue One team or whatever. But when K2SO chokeslammed Jyn Erso, I was kind of relieved that she wasn't going to be a Super Mary Sue. There were times where it got stupid, but I think that's also with the stylistic tellings of modern day movies. Enthusiast for PS2, good realistic racing game. Thank you, Cesario Japan. I'll check it out down the road when I get a new PS2. And yeah, I do want to get a new PS2. Actually, I want to get a PS3 that plays all the backwards compatibility PS1, 2, and 3 games and have that hooked up on the TV. That'd be nice. So let me look back and see about what's popping up the most. We see R2D2. I played the Burnout games. I fucking love those. Those are a lot of fun. Gavin Smith hates his job. I'm so sorry, Gavin Smith. Enjoy your time with us, though. Let's see, a lot of Jar Jar's not an option. EVS will take Rose. One for Cheer It. A couple for Tico. Right in Mara Jade. Luke, Obi-Wan. No, Luke, Obi-Wan, Luke. 2 Obi-Wans. 3 Obi-Wans. 3 Leias. Luke. Han Solo. Based on your guys, it looks like Luke won. Oh, wait, no. Vader. Okay, well, it looks like you guys picked Luke Skywalker, so we're going to click on Luke Skywalker to go on vacation with Luke. So Luke got 5%. Rose and Rey got 13% each. Really? Why would you want to take Rey on vacation? She's going to look at you with those stupid eyes and complain when you eat something. And then when like the wind blows sand in Rose Tico's face, she's going to cry. It was my sandcastle. I mean, do you really want to go to a beach with metal bikinis and those girls? No. No, you don't. Jared Ricewig sent it. Why wasn't Boba Fett a choice? I don't know why Boba Fett wasn't a choice. Boba Fett should always be a choice. You know, what do you want for dinner? Meatloaf, chicken, Boba Fett. Always a choice. Jared Ricewig says, Lucasfilm on Rotten Tomatoes post, The Last Jedi. Look at the bad reviews. Hold your fire. There's no life forms. Must have been Russian bots. I find it funny, too, that not IMDb, that Rotten Tomatoes had to put out a video to confirm that all that stuff was genuine. I like when another company's like, hey, you may not like the answers, but these are legit reviews, so you have to deal with that. Ghetto Bible says Constable Zuvio. I would love to take Constable Zuvio on a vacation because he wouldn't show up, and you get your vacation to yourself. Lando would try to bang all the appliances. If it's a rental, there's like an agreement. Like if there's any residual goo in the toaster, you're going to have to pay for the toaster and the cleaning service. EVS wants to have Tico in a metal bikini. I think he's already drawn that before. Ethan's a very talented artist, but even he can't make Rose Tico in a bikini look good to me. Sorry, that was mean. Not going to apologize for that burn. But I would never want to take Rose, Tico, or Rey on a vacation. They're just not fun. I wouldn't take any Star Wars character on vacation with me. They're all hard up for weird things. So, for example, let's look at the people on this list, and I'll tell you why I wouldn't take anyone on vacation. First off, why would I not take BB-8? Because he's annoying. Why would I not take Chewbacca? Because he probably stinks. Why would I not take Chirrut? Because he's blind and dead because he died. Darth Vader, I don't want to get choked if I do something he doesn't like on the trip. Finn could be your buddy, but I wouldn't take him on vacation. Han Solo, not this modern Han Solo. Jabba the Hutt. See Chewbacca, probably stinks, and you'd have to carry him everywhere. No one can carry Jabba the Hutt. Jyn Erso, Felicity Jones is cute, but I don't know what about the characters. See, the characters in these movies, the only one I would want to take maybe is K2SO, because K2SO could be my butler robot. I'd have him programmed to do what I want, but he'd keep the snark and charm. That'd be the most fun to me. Pando can stay. Princess Leia could come hang out, because young Princess Leia, not based on looks, but because she's not so unlikable. Like, post-Battle of Endor Leia, where she's kind of relaxed, like, hey, we beat the Empire. I can take a week's vacation with some guy from Earth that I've never met. There we go. That would be a fun choice. Nobody likes Krennic. He's a good bad guy, but I don't really like to hang out with him. Poe Dameron, who gives a shit? No personality. Rey, unlikable. Rose Tico, a joke. I think a lot of these are just joke votes for people, and then they're hoping that we make a video about it and bitch. Like, in many ways, we are a way for them to get some free advertisement. Well, they think that, but I guess they don't realize how the voices carry in a certain way. Yeah, it's rigged. It's no way. Luke for life. Thing is rigged. It is rigged. Let's see. Grendel fan 84. Rose would be a Debbie Downer toward every decision you make. Yeah, I can see that. I don't want to go to the steakhouse. I don't want seafood. This, that, and the other. Yeah, Rose Tico would be a Debbie Downer. She would cry all the time, just like she did in that movie. And when she's trying to be heroic and intimidating, what does she do? She whines. She's a whiner. Yeah, and she probably preached you too. You shouldn't drink that beer. How do you live longer? By saving the thing you love, your liver and kidney. Like, I would leave her. Whatever pleasure planet we'd be on, I'd leave. No, I'd take Rose Tico on vacation to Canto Bight. I would torture her ass. I mean, look at this opulence. Look at these horses. Look at these children. And then if she tried to escape, we'd have K2SO zap her and put her back to sleep. I tell Rose to shut up and like it. These new characters, they have very few redeeming qualities about them. Rose would give you a lot of unwanted kisses. Well, there's no such thing as an unwanted kiss from Rose Tico when your name's Triple XL Uncle Ehe Van Skyver. She'd crash your car on the way to the beach. Before we jump back to Lucasfilm Story Group, I'd love to hear the Lucasfilm Story Group discussing the moments in The Last Jedi. And then Rose is going to crash her speeder and save Finn and kiss him, and it's cute, and it's not. It's weird. It's really weird. Do I think rose farts smell like roses? Roses smell like poo-poo, according to that song. The new characters are paper thin. Look how many people voted. I think it was 10,579 people voted on this one. Yeah, 10,579 right there. So Lucasfilm hired bots to sway the votes. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case or not. SJWs don't human very well. That's the wisest thing I've ever heard on this channel. So, let's talk about that story group again for all the new people that are here. Seems like a lot of people are filing out, and hopefully new people are rolling in. So, this thing came over on Reddit. I don't know, is it a post on Reddit? Does it have a specific name? Like, Twitter, they have tweets. Reddits have posts, I guess. I don't Reddit very often. That was a Jake thing. If you don't know who Jake is, we're not talking about Jake Skywalker. We're talking about Dion and I's friend, our 6'2" Korean friend who's crazy, like legitimately crazy. But I love him. So the Lucasfilm Story Group, here's Kiri Hart. She heads the Lucasfilm Story Group. I'm just going to let you look at that for a moment. No, that is not Rachel Dolezal or whatever her damn name is. So anyway, the Star Wars Story Group has practically zero experience in writing for entertainment, according to this post on Reddit. Now, the Redditor is using IMDb as a source, so that's where this information is coming from. I've been told from a couple listeners that IMDb is not always the most trustworthy source, but in terms of where this information is coming from, well, IMDb is where you're getting it from here. So Kiri Hart has only worked on a few episodes of TV shows, Crossing Jordan, 1-800-MISSING. I remember Crossing Jordan, never heard of 1-800-MISSING. And she was a story editor on 7 episodes of Crossing Jordan. And then Phineas and Ferb in 2014. And then her first goal, her first move, was to make sure that the story group was entirely female, starting with Rain Roberts and Carrie Beck. That just, why is that a thing that we promote in the media as a good thing? That just sounds dumb. If I started something and it's like they're all going to be men, I'm going to get called sexist and I'm going to get called a whole bunch of things. There's these weird double standards in life. Oh, there we go. Coffee. So let's talk about these other people from the Lucasfilm Story Group. We have Rain Roberts, Carrie Beck, Diana Williams, Leland Chee, Pablo Hidalgo, Matt Martin, Steve Blank, James Waugh, Josh Rhimes, Stephen Fetter, and Cara Pardo. Hopefully no relation to Don Pardo. If you don't know who Don Pardo is, well, watch SNL and you will in 5 minutes. Benjamin, maybe those are her qualifications. But should we look deeper into some of these people right now on this stream this morning? Press F if you want me to see if I can find some more information about Pablo Hidalgo, Kiri Hart, and all of them. Thank you, Dick McJackins. Must stink like soy during all their meetings. Ethan didn't go to San Diego Comic-Con because he got the Kevin Smith treatment. They tried to force him to buy a second ticket at the gate. Oh, so mean. So fucking mean. Okay, so it seems like a lot of people really want me to look into Pablo Hidalgo on air. So thank you for being patient for a moment while I slowly Google Pablo Hidalgo. Let's see, he's got a Wikipedia page, so let's look him up. So Pablo Hidalgo is a Chilean Canadian. Never really heard of that that blend. That's cool. Sounds like a really bad coffee. You don't get it at your local Tim Hortons, though. Shit, we don't even have a local Tim Hortons. Anyway, the first up is Pablo Hidalgo. He's the most well-known of the story group, at least in my opinion. Imagine a story group making rom-coms made up of men. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Ethan's WWE name Triple XL. Oh, I love Corey Hart. Oh, you guys. So Pablo Hidalgo has the same birth month as me, which sucks. So let's see here. In 1987, he became a fan of the role-playing game, published West End Games, the only official Star Wars content in the late 80s, and took it upon himself to become knowledgeable of the universe to create better stories for the story group, or for the group of friends he was playing with. He later used both content from the RPG and ideas he developed for his gaming sessions within official Star Wars media, such as tracking devices used by the Inquisitor and the name of the ship in Star Wars Rebels. So basically, off of his first paragraph, he seems like what we would all want. Here's the question about Pablo Hidalgo. Where did it all go wrong? When did Pablo Hidalgo turn to the dark side or the dork side? Or when did he get woke? That's the problem. That's the question, if you will. Now, Kiri Hart doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. So, he submitted content to West End Games, Star Wars Adventure Journal in 93, although rejected because he was not published author at the time. See, I wish we still lived in a world where, hey, if you don't do something, you're fucking not accepted in terms of entertainment. His correspondence with the company resulted in him being hired as a cartoonist for the magazine by Pete Schweighofer. Since he was now a published author, he was allowed to publish material in the RPG as well as stories in the magazine. During his involvement, he collected the first large-scale database of Star Wars knowledge, part of which he posted online as the Star Wars Index. He also uses extensive knowledge to assist Steve Stansweet with fact-checking the Star Wars Encyclopedia, the first such work published shortly before the Star Wars prequel trilogy. So, I hate to say it, but Pablo Hidalgo seems qualified as shit to be working at Lucasfilm. Maybe he's an asshole, but he definitely has the knowledge, so I don't think we could get into that. I knew Pablo Hidalgo had been involved with Star Wars before the Lucasfilm Disney acquisition thing, because I knew the name, much like R.A. Salvatore or A.C. Crispin. Those were just names that I knew were involved with Star Wars stuff. So in January of 2000, he was hired by Sansweet at Lucasfilm to build up StarWars.com, the official Star Wars website, as a resource for fans during the then active filming and launching of the Star Wars prequel trilogy. He then served as internet content manager for Lucas Online, the division of Lucasfilm responsible for maintaining StarWars.com, where he also published multiple comics until 2011. Even though Star Wars canon was not completely error-free at this point due to previous lack of oversight, and he was not in any official capacity employed to help maintain it, Hidalgo was already being consulted to ensure continuity during this time. In 2005, he had a non-speaking cameo in Star Wars Episode 3: Revenge of the Sith as a patron of the Opera Chancellor Palpatine and Anakin Skywalker visit. After Disney's acquisition of Lucasfilm, he approached Kathleen Kennedy about making his consulting role official, which led to the creation of the Lucasfilm Story Group. Other members include Kiri Hart, Leland Chee, a group of Star Wars experts. Okay, now we fucking lost it. Experts tasked with maintaining the canon of the franchise after its partial reboot in 2014. Their duties range from fact-checking dialogue, e.g., whether a certain character would say a certain line or whether it makes sense in the universe's context. Right there, I was like, okay, Pablo Hidalgo, you kind of know your shit. And now this, and you have failed us. You have failed Star Wars. You failed the thing you spent 30 years working on. Oh, bullshit. What is this? Whether a certain character would say a certain line or whether it makes sense in the universe's context. What about Luke Skywalker? What about Han Solo? What makes sense in that context? Things like ideology, Trump, and storytelling again. So I can't read any more of this trash from Pablo Hidalgo. It's hurting my soul. So now we're learning more about Pablo Hidalgo. What do you guys think about Pablo Hidalgo? I'm not going to say that all of a sudden I love Pablo Hidalgo, because he's really, if he's such a fan, how could he have allowed Star Wars to get where it is? He always shits on the people. Like, it's the that line in episode 3, then you're truly lost or whatever. He's truly lost. What happened with this guy? If he was sitting there doing all this nerdy shit back in the day and turned it into a career, and now he's so antagonistic and he attacks people, does he think he's, is he afraid of job security? If that's the case, then the people above him need to be let go. He sells out for pizzas and donuts. He's a soy lord jackass. Damn, that is harsh. He's moist Darth Wow. A talentless nerd. Ouch. Ouch. Don't worry. One day when you go against Kathleen Kennedy, you won't get shit canned. You'll get a promotion. So Pablo Hidalgo seems more qualified. I think Pablo Hidalgo is the saddest case, because he's so qualified for what we want, but he's such an idiot when it comes time to produce and allow. Like, he's probably keeping quiet out of fear, but he should be like, yo, this doesn't make sense, or Luke wouldn't do that, or Han wouldn't do that. I wonder how many times he's been told to be quiet because he's a man. Yes, he failed up. Pablo Hidalgo has dirty knees. Ouch. He was converted. So let me look into this Leland Chi character, because Leland Chi has a partial Wikipedia page. No, he's just mentioned. Oh, man. I'm not going to try to read this on air. But by the way, folks, I want to let you guys know I've been in contact with our fans about doing that Star Wars EU roundtable. And so if you've contacted me and I've responded back, we're going to try to make that happen in the first week of August or so. So be on the lookout. And if you're an EU expert and you want to chime in and be a part of the panel, let me know and I'll get you on the show and we'll discuss off air the logistics behind it. But you guys have been requesting the whole EU topic, so let's give you guys an EU roundtable. And the better these things go, the more we'll have them. I can turn one of the nights a week into an EU roundtable discussion type of thing. So Chaos Risen, thank you very much for your super chat. I took screenshots of each of their tweets over the last year. 100% are left-wing. 100% are left-leaning, but 90% of them are actively posting against Trump. They hate fans. That seems to be the MO of most actors or people in Hollywood. They need to say the right thing. It's like it's weird how much life is like Hollywood. You have to be always saying the right thing. You were virtue signaling before you knew what virtue signaling was. And that's what these people do all the time. They're not, people that have their own thought processes. They're like, hey, I know I need to eat and I need to drink and be, I need I don't want to say self-pleasure because it sounds like a masturbation reference, but they basically need to eat, sleep, and have some self-actualization here and there. But they are just so focused on what everyone else is doing. Like, am I woke enough? Like, we should play a game on the channel. Are you woke enough? And I'll ask you a series of questions, and you'll try to determine if that listener or that character is woke enough. You know what? Let me write that down. That actually sounds like it could be kind of fun. Let's see here. Are you woke enough? But I think it's smart what you're doing, Chaos Risen, to take not Snapchats, not Super Chats, screenshots of the shit they say. So when they come out and say we've never said this or we don't feel this way, you can catch them in a lie. The funny thing is they lie about us constantly. So you know how you fight back with them, or you fight back to them with the truth. You show them, hey, this is what you said on this date. This is not an altered tweet. This is how you feel, and this is how I feel about being talked down to or disrespected. If as a customer, a consumer of your product, Coca-Cola doesn't go out and say, oh, the fat asses that are drinking Coca-Cola can go die. No, maybe they have stuff about heavy users behind the scenes, but they apologize. They always are trying to keep people happy. That's how businesses should work. That's how entertainment businesses should work. I don't care what that Geek Girl Diva said a couple months ago or weeks ago. Oh, you're not a customer of anything. Well, no one's going to be a consumer of anything Star Wars in a few short months. Keep that shit up. The Dunning-Kruger effect. Let me look that one up. Anthony Vogel. I do like to learn on this show. Who would have made a better Star Wars film, Orson Welles or Alfred Hitchcock? I'm going to go with Orson Welles. Alfred Hitchcock is one of my all-time favorite directors. I just don't know if that kind of tension and drama would work in Star Wars. Remember, folks, Star Wars is high fantasy, and it hits you on so many different levels. Doing that within Hitchcock, I don't think works. That could just be me, though. You could tell me. So few trebuchets, so many problems. Pablo answered an ad on the back of a cereal box. Learn to write in 8 days. You guys are... If I ever need to learn how to... Or not even learn, but if I ever need some ammunition how to burn someone, I'm just going to come to you guys, and you can help me lay waste to anybody. Leland cheese sounds like an SJW ice cream. He seems like the thing you put in your bubble tea. I've never read any of the Yuzon Vong stuff, so that's going to be coming from the fans that are on the EU, called the EU High Council. Arc Trooper Knox, thank you for your super chat. Speaking of a lie, I looked at the code of the poll. Easy to do. Ray and Rose have the same ID. A vote for one counts for both. Same number of votes. Arc Trooper Knox, is there any way you could send me a screenshot of that to the worldclassbs@mail.com email? Because I wasn't going to talk about the video or the poll on a video, but if you could show me that, I will use that as a reference to show how they're lying, to embarrass them. So if you'd like to help me out with that, I will reference you in the video and plug anything you'd like in the video for helping us out, because that'd be something interesting for the other viewers out there to see. So if you could do that, Arc Trooper Knox, I appreciate that. If not, no big deal, but I would definitely like to make that happen. Good morning, David. What I've wondered is how the media is so SJW driven these days, and before it didn't even exist. It just seems like pre-Gamergate, these weren't issues. Like there's an article in Forbes that says Gamergate is not an attack on women; it's a consumer movement. Look how far Forbes has fallen. The email address is worldclassbs@mail.com. Let me write it in the chat for you, because there you go. That's our World Class Bullshitters email. That's how you contact us directly. That's the most efficient way outside of Patreon. The only reason Patreon is more efficient, it's not because I'm trying to get money. It's because Patreon's linked to my personal email address, so I get notifications instantly. So if you're a listener out there and you really want to contact me and you're a patron, shoot your message over Patreon and I'll get it directly. You're damn right, Lime Green Hulk. It is the best mail. So, guys, it's already Thursday. I can't believe that we're this far into the week. Tonight's the podcast. Tomorrow night is that Star Wars thing, and then got some other stuff to work on behind the scenes. The month of July is basically over, and I can't believe that this is it. Not a complaint. We're getting closer and closer to Horror Hound, my birthday, all kinds of great stuff. But I just can't believe where this year's gone. It's been crazy, and I'm not even we're not even like tired of doing the stuff we do. If anything, I'm more excited to do more. I just can't believe where it's gone. Did I misspell world Class BS. No, I didn't misspell. Yeah, mail.com. That's what it is. Swampy Turtle, happy birthday to you. I hope you have a nice birthday. I hope you have some fun stuff. If you're of age, have a drink in honor of this channel. And if you're not, have a piece of cake and think that all the bullshitters are wishing you a happy birthday. When we do the website and stuff, I'm going to have a little birthday club. I got some ideas how to make this channel even more fun than it already is. I just need the time, and I'm starting that tomorrow. We're going to do a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. My mom and I are going to get this little office together and really turn it into World Class Bullshitters headquarters proper. So, and a birthday club is something I'd like to do. But yes, happy birthday to you, Swampy Turtle. I hope you have a good birthday. Hope someone takes you to dinner. Like I said, I don't know your age, so I don't know what you'll be doing. Oh, I missed R in World Class. Oh, yeah, I said World Class. Yeah, it is World Class BS at mail.com. My bad. I apologize. American Trent 007. The years go by faster than Susu Studio. God damn it, Trent. Oh, my God. See you, DeBuzz General. Have a good day. Dash Rendar sounds like a galactic car salesman. Can the High Council replace Jeremy with someone who doesn't sound like W? How about Pat from Please Rewind? Nah, Jeremy's cool. I know he gets a lot of shit, but he loves you guys a lot. I talked to him off air, and he's always trying to come up with new stuff. So there's a lot of respect I have for Jeremy. But you can tell him to stop sounding like George W. and see what he says. I'll back you up on that one. Nat. Grendel fan 84. Thank you for your super chat. Hitchcock could have directed the Han and Lando Sabak card game and made it suspenseful as hell. Okay, you're right on that one, 100%. I'm just kind of thinking about that. That could be really, really intense. Even without Harrison Ford and what's his face, Don Glover, there would have been a lot of tension. I think that's what's missing in a lot of suspense. There's just a lot of films in general, like good suspense. I know we talk about Star Wars a lot, but the suspense I feel every time I watch the Battle of Yavin, when they're in the trench at the very end and the music swells and the I Have You Now, that really hits me. And that's why I constantly am, I gravitate towards that scene a lot. Hitchcock movies have a lot of that too. And I think Star Wars could use some real classic style filmmaking to hook somebody. Ron Howard's an okay director, but he's very bland. He's like the Bennigans of directors. No, he's like the TGI Fridays of directors. They make money, but they're just okay. But man, some of that Hitchcockian thing would be great. What about a Stanley Kubrick Star Wars flick? Or at least what could Stanley Kubrick bring to Star Wars? That'd be kind of a fun game we could all play on the channel. Like I could have a couple people on, like pitch your dream director's Star Wars picture. Maybe we'll do some more fan interaction stuff like that. We'll do live streams of fans pitching ideas or something crazy. Press F if you guys want to see that. But thank you, Grendel fan. Are you a fan of like Grendel the comic book? Like the black character with the white eyes and stuff and the rose or whatever? Is that what you're a fan of? A Lego set confirmed that Black Manta will be the villain for Aquaman. Oh, I've seen the images of that. Not going to pick up Lego sets, but the design's pretty neat looking. Pablo shits where he eats. That's very true. Jeremy sounds like Ron Howard. Jeremy jumped in a pool. I don't have a pool here. Well, in Ohio, there's a sand pit somewhere. We are worldwide, wide. I wonder if all the fat jokes hurt EVS's feelings. He's not fat, though, so I don't know. If he doesn't show up for the High Council, you know what you guys have done, and I blame each and every one of you. Ridley Scott should direct the next Star Wars flick. I'm down with that one. I know people will say, well, Prometheus and Alien Covenant, and they'll use those as for examples, but what about the first Alien? What about Blade Runner? What about shit like that? remember that article that came out about the article that came out about how they're not hiring untested directors anymore. So we have to see what the case is. By the way, folks, would you like to just make the next 40 minutes of the show Ask Jeff Anything, where I talk about whatever you guys want? I think we covered the Lucasfilm story group quite well. The other members don't have Wikipedia pages, but we learned a lot about Pablo Hidalgo, Kiri Hart, and the like. And today's show definitely has to end at 10 o'clock as normal because I have somewhere I have to be. So if you guys want that to happen, we'll make that happen. Press F. I watched EVS's stream last night when drawing Rainbow Brute, and he gets irritated by a lot of loud noises and loud laughing. Just saying. Well, I draw too, and I like to be... That's one thing I hated about working conventions. People would want to watch me draw. I don't like to be watched. I can't talk when I draw. It's not about... being annoyed by people. I just, I'm trying to focus. Maybe that's his thing. I understand Ethan on certain levels. Like when I do the Harrison Ford comic for the channel that people are excited about, I'll be working in silence here at the house. And if you guys ever meet me out in public, I probably won't be drawing. What about Peter Jackson? That'd be cool. Scott has never written Alien. Yeah. Ridley, what's it? Dan O'Bannon wrote Alien, right? Dan O'Bannon and some other dude. Grand Inquisitor, did you send me the Lego set about the 007 Lego set? Is that what it is? Because if that's the case, I already pre-ordered it. I joined the Lego Club yesterday just to pre-order that damn James Bond set. Jeff, it's your show. Do what you want and we'll follow. I appreciate that, Abomino, but I like this show to be a very group-focused show. It's fun. Believe me, if this was only what I wanted to do, we may have watch parties of Beverly Hills Cop every day, and I discuss learning that Axel's jacket is not rolled up, but it's cut off sleeves. Dumb shit like that. No, it's a group thing. It's all about fun. That's why I think people come here to be involved with the show. Good Morning Pop Culture is a way for people to get through work with a laugh. That's the idea behind it, but thank you. Grendel Fan 84 says, yes, big fan of the Matt Wagner comic book character, Hunter Rose / Grendel. First expensive comic I ever bought was Primer #2. I was pretty sure that's who you were talking about. My local comic book store, Rock and Rooster, had one of those on the wall for a long time. And if you don't know who Grendel is, Grendel's in a long-running comic book originally created by Matt Wagner, first published by Comic Co, then later moved to Dark Horse. And it was rated IGN's 88th greatest villain of all time. And it started in March of 1983. Yeah, Matt Wagner. I think Matt Wagner did work on Batman that I really, really, really liked. But it's cool to hear someone show some love for a character that's not, the big ones like me. I'm always like, oh, Batman, oh, Spider-Man, all this shit. So some Grendel love out there. You guys should check out some of the artwork for Grendel. It's a cool character design, and it's bloody. Art Vandalay, thank you for your super chat, and good morning, and welcome back. Favorite Superman 78 scene? For me, it's Miss Tessmacher's poolside. Miss Tessmacher! I'll give you a couple. First off, my ultimate favorite scene in any Superman movie is when Superman flies off the planet and then looks at the camera and smiles and then flies away. That is my favorite Superman moment. That's like one of my favorite superhero movie moments overall. Even though Superman is not my favorite flick, that moment right there is very cool. It breaks the fourth wall. Superman will return, all that good stuff. Love it. I do love the Otisburg scene. That makes me laugh every time. Otisburg. It's just a small little place, Mr. Luthor. That makes me laugh. I like in the director's cut the entire sequence where Superman drills into the ground and then goes through the obstacle course of death, where they freeze him, they shoot him, they burn him, they try to blow him up. I enjoy that quite a bit. I like the part a lot too where after Lois and Superman have flown around and Clark's like, Lois, I've been waiting and all that shit, and then he like pops his chest up and he takes off his glasses and he has a moment where he's thinking about revealing himself to Lois, and then he slouches his shoulders back down and puts his glasses back on and says, what about a hamburger? I like that. That shows the dual identity of Superman. Richard Donner got it right in so many ways. It's very operatic in three-act structure, and it's a little long. I'll admit Superman's a little long, but those moments right there are iconic and incredible to me. So thank you, Art. Those are my favorite scenes. Mike 200 cents. Thank you for your super chat. Episode 9 can save Star Wars by revealing everything in The Last Jedi after the Radis decompression, especially Holdo, to be Leia's hallucinations while dying in space. You know, I actually haven't heard anyone pitch that idea to me before. I've never heard of a movie that has so many people hoping that it gets retconned right away. I've never heard that before. There's so much hatred and anger towards The Last Jedi, but I think it deserves it. No, you know what? I know it deserves it. I wouldn't mind that, though. But it won't happen. Like, my 200 cents, I wish something like this would happen, and then it kind of, fades away and goes into something else. What would that say, though, about Disney as a company or Lucasfilm to allow that shit? The fan backlash was so bad we had to go back and cancel, the next movie and make it something completely different to get over the eighth one. Oh, it's a good concept. I just wish they would go through with something like that. But thank you, my 200 cents. What happened to Miss Tessmacher in Superman 2? Gaiman 7. First off, he said she found her ugly. What was her name? Valerie Perrine. I thought she was good looking enough. I don't know where she is in Superman 2. Probably off to Hackensack, New Jersey to see her mother. Dick McJackass. I'm going to get slappy here, but Superman's most impressive superpower is his ability to make Batman smile. It's heartwarming. They're like an old couple. Why can't we have DC characters like that on film? Oh, yeah, it's because Zack Snyder doesn't get DC characters. He just gets explosions and crazy shit. I think the smaller, more thoughtful approach to big franchises will be the next big trend. And I think that'll be welcomed. And then eventually you'll get a nice, thoughtful approach mixed with the big spectacle, and then you'll have the best representations of these characters. Rhino4563, thank you very much for your generous super chat. What did you think of the SJWs coming for The Rock because he's playing a guy with a prosthetic leg in Skyscraper and should have let a real guy with a prosthetic leg play the part? First off, you guys know how I feel about The Rock. He's the great one. I think this is bullshit, though. First off, he's an actor, much like Scarlett Johansson is an actress, with the whole Scarlett Johansson playing the transgender character. They're acting. David Prowse really wasn't a cyborg robot with half-burned skin. Kenny Baker wasn't really a droid. You play a role. When I went to see my cousin's daughter in a Peter Pan performance a couple months back, I didn't get mad that Captain Hook was played by a girl. I thought, wow, this girl is the best actor in this whole damn thing. We need to get over the fact, the funny thing is how dumb society has gotten. People are just fucking dumb when it comes to stuff like this. Oh, how come they didn't have a real guy with a fake leg play it? How come I wasn't in the movie? Well, you're not an actor. Well, you know what? Neither is the guy with the fake leg. The Rock is. You want to get Zach Gowen? How many people could, first off, when you look at actors, are they marketable? The Rock is the highest paid actor of all time. He's very marketable. Like somebody said in an article recently, he's a franchise unto himself. There's an aura about him as an actor. He's his own franchise. Awesome. Cool. You got The Rock. You got a built-in fan base. You got built-in money. That's why you hire The Rock. That's why you hired Bruce Willis. That's why you hired Arnold Schwarzenegger and Stallone previously, because those guys are franchises unto themselves. They bring in guaranteed money. They're bankable stars. I think how The Rock reacts to this, I haven't seen what The Rock has said yet. For the first time ever, I don't know what The Rock says. But the way The Rock responds to this will be very telling in a good way about how to treat SJWs, because The Rock has the best PR. He handles PR the best of any celebrity. If he makes a promise to somebody, he follows through with it. If he says something, he'll stand by it. He's a man of his word in that respect. So if The Rock kind of dismisses this SJW backlash, or in a subtle sly way, tears it down, I think that could really help kind of kill this SJW criticism of everything. But I do think that is the dumbest criticism ever. I think there's more valid criticism behind why is Michael B. Jordan playing Johnny Storm, a white character, over why is The Rock playing a fictional character with a fake leg. It's just a plot point. You know, McClane had no shoes. The Rock doesn't have a left foot. That's all it really is. It's just a gimmick. So do we have to always have a Canadian who has been genetically modified by the Canadian government to be Wolverine? Hugh Jackman's an Australian. By that same accord, Hugh Jackman should be Wolverine. Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield was British. He shouldn't be Spider-Man. Well, he shouldn't be Spider-Man for many reasons, but you get my drift. Sean Connery was Scottish. Why was he James Bond? Well, he was good enough that Ian Fleming wrote that into his backstory. My point is, Rhino, in a roundabout way, people coming for The Rock or people coming for anyone because of, the representation that they argue, they can just go fuck themselves. It's not a real thing. It's not a real concern or a real problem. It's made up shit. We live in a time where people have free time to do anything they want, so they choose to bitch on the internet about fictional problems. I don't get it. And I don't think neither does The Rock. He's just like, I don't get this. The movie wasn't even a hit. They're going after some weird shit. Like Skyscraper opened at number 3. It's going to continually fall. Next week is Mission Impossible. I don't know what comes out today. But it's kind of an over and done with story. The only reason people would want to talk about this continually is the SJW nonsense. And hopefully, for The Rock's sake, it drums up enough attention and people go see this movie and it won't be a massive flop. I'm not going to see it, but that's just who I am. Jesus A. Ceballos Jr. By the way, am I saying your name correct? I apologize if I'm butchering it, but I hope I'm getting it right. How awesome would it be if Richard Donner directed the Green Lantern Corps? Jeff Johns was mentored by him after all. It'd be like Lethal Weapon in space. Again, this is one of those things where a fan pitches a great idea and it'll never happen and I get sad. Of course this would be a great idea. Even if Richard Donner can't direct a Green Lantern Corps flick, have him be a consultant. I know Richard Donner's politics turn off a lot of people nowadays, but I'm just going strictly by the films that he's made. There's a reason why we call him the patron saint of world-class bullshitters. Richard Donner, I love the Lethal Weapon quadrilogy. I love the Goonies, the Omen, the Superman movie he directed, and the one he technically didn't direct. He directed the best episode of The Twilight Zone. He was involved with some of the best episodes of Tales from the Crypt. Like Richard Donner, fantastic. I think if he still has the touch that he had back in the day, even if he still has Lethal Weapon's Force touch, I think he could do it. You need to be able to infuse fun into some of these very dour DC characters. Kyle Rayner, John Stewart, or a John Stewart. You should do John Stewart, Hal Jordan, Green Lantern. I know people like Kyle Rayner. I just don't like the suit or the mask. You could just give him a traditional suit and call him Kyle Rayner. I don't really care. But that would be an excellent idea. And I want to like Green Lantern. Not just because I'm, friends with Ethan now, but I have a Green Lantern Corps trade paperback right here. Tales of the Green Lantern Corps, Volume 3. I'm looking right at it. I have Green Lantern comic books. I like the character idea of Green Lantern. The movie sucked, so I didn't really get into it because of the movie. I liked it before that. And then I had, Secret Origins Green Lantern or Flashpoint Green Lantern or all that shit too. I like the character, but Richard Donner could save that and we could have a viable DC franchise, but we don't. Brad Norris, thank you very much for your super chat. Do you think Dark Horse will be as big or as important as DC or Marvel one day? They make some great comics and artwork. I'm going to go with yes and no at the same time. And let me explain something. I think in terms of actual publishing, Dark Horse could catch up to DC and Marvel because DC and Marvel are doing so poorly. If Dark Horse had a Walking Dead type of hit on their hands, they could definitely surpass. Is Dark Horse above Image right now? I don't know. I don't know the exact numbers. But I could see something like that happening where Dark Horse is elevated. If they had a new character or they got the publishing rights to something really, really famous. Like they used to have Star Wars. And the Dark Horse Star Wars comics were very, very good. I really loved the relaunch in 2011 was the year it happened. Or was it 2010? My point is, Dark Horse could do that because Marvel's garbage. And they do make good stuff, and the whole Dark Horse presents those anthology things, and Dark Horse has Sin City too, so that is a benefit. Maybe if Sin City had a resurgence in popularity, and instead of the SJW media shitting on Frank Miller for some of his views, they just looked at the crime noir stories for what they were and can be, and they do some more stuff like that. So, Brad, to answer your question one more time, the only way I think Dark Horse could be as big as those two is for those to continue to drop and for Dark Horse to have a steady uptick in quality. Yes, Dark Horse is a Katy Perry song. I'm just scrolling through here to make sure I didn't miss anybody's super chat. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay, so we're all caught up. Awesome. Thank you to everyone, by the way. I appreciate those. So let's see. I love The Rock. He's my favorite wrestler as a kid. He's still my favorite wrestler as an adult. Like he would say, the millions and millions of The Rock's fans. I put myself as number one of the millions and millions of The Rock's fans. And yeah, that was my attempt at breathing in the electricity, but I'm congested because it's early in the morning. Dick McJack, I seriously think Shazam will be their big game changer. It's set up to be a classic family film in that sense. It'll be a good, fun, and thoughtful flick for everyone to enjoy. I want Shazam to be awesome. Like, I want Star Wars to be awesome too. I can complain about stuff on here and it's fun, but nothing makes me happier than like being in a place where I'm loving all the forms of entertainment. Like, if you go pre-Die Another Day, I was very happy that Pierce Brosnan was Bond, Spider-Man was Tobey Maguire, and stuff like that. Like if you can, like, I want to get back to that nice balance of where I like all the representations of my favorite characters. They still make movies, all that stuff. Yeah, it's fun to bitch about stuff, but it's very disheartening too to see something you love fall apart. Oh, Barbarella, you win. Let real trans people and disabled people play those roles in films. By that logic, hey, SJW, let real writers write movies. Grendel fan 84, thank you very much. I help run a comic book shop here in Indy. Comics Elite. Dark Horse has shrunk with the competition of other up-and-coming indie publishers. Oh, okay. By the way, Grendel fan, are you going to come to Indianapolis Horror Hound and hang out with the channel? Even if you don't want to buy a ticket to the show, there's after parties in all the hotel lobbies. So if you want to meet all the guys, we'd love to have you. But I hope your comic shop isn't going to suffer. Like, I love my local comic book shop, Rock and Rooster. I'd be really upset if they closed. There's a cool community around comic books, and the fans aren't anything like they want to make us out to be. There's not a hate mob. There's a big, diverse group of people, and diverse not just in skin color or orientation, but walks life, interests, thoughts, all kinds of stuff. Like, you can go into a comic book store, and Grendel fan, you can attest to this. You can have somebody come in and spend 12 hours in your store talking about books and still buy stuff too. Like, I met one of my best friends, Brian. We went to he worked at the comic book store. We talked for 9 hours straight about shit. It was a slow day and no one was really in there, but we just had these discussions, and that little community you can't replicate on the internet. Like, I can do what I can do here on YouTube and on other platforms, and we can build a community that way. But going into your local store and standing there around the counter and talking about books with these guys, you can't really replicate that, especially the surrounding. Like, we're on a computer. I can look up anything I want on YouTube or the internet or Google, but I can't have the books around me and the smell of the store and, that weird old comic smell that some people like and some people hate. When all the publishers are doing well, I think everyone will do well, because comics the thing is that they could market comics better. They could appeal to more people, and you could really, with the advent of digital comics, you could have, and the way that we consume digital media like Netflix, we have so many opportunities to consume comics now, but they haven't given us anything worth consuming. There's just no reason to go out and buy these things. You can pirate them, which I don't suggest. And if you love the books and they're not worth your money, I just skip them. I don't know how you do it personally or how a lot of people at your store do it. But for me, if Spider-Man's bad, I'm not buying Spider-Man. If anything, I'll put Spider-Man at the half-price bookstore, second hand, where Marvel doesn't get any of my money. So take with that what you will. And yes, Sam Roberts should be banned from WWE broadcasts. I met that guy once. You don't have a comic book store where you live? Oh, that's sad. I would, if my comic book store was closing, or if they had if they needed a fundraiser type of thing, I'd live stream on the channel to get people to, do what they could, at least draw attention to their store. People are talking about Wonder Woman. Who would they cast them? I like Wonder Woman as Gal Gadot. Hammer of Crom, you're off in Atlanta. Say hey to Nick for me if you run into him. So let's see. Any more questions you guys want to add? We still got about 20 minutes left on the show. I'm not going to cut you guys short today. Why are you not surprised I could talk for 9 hours? Because I've done it on this before. I can go on and on. All I need is water, and I'm good to go. I can even forget about using the bathroom during those 9-hour discussions. Believe me, when I take car trips, I'm usually the last one that has to stop to use the bathroom. I'm reading Josie's comment. That just made me laugh. What would one car that I like to own from a Fast and Furious franchise be? If there's an Aston Martin, any Aston Martin in a Fast and Furious movie, I'd like it. I do like Dom's car. Was that the Charger? That's cool. I'm not really an American car guy, though. I'm not here to dump on them. Just the European sports cars and European things just look cooler and classier to me. So I just something like that, an Aston Martin or that supercar from the one in Dubai. I kind of like that. 40 minutes to your local comic book store. Damn. Or your nearest comic book store. That's not even local. Grendel fan says, we will be there. The store has blown up in the past year with Facebook Live sales, signings, gradings, and services, and exclusive covers. Great community for customers and fans. I'm looking forward to it then. We'll find you. You find us. It'll be awesome. If you want to message me, you're saying your store is going to have a booth there, right? Because, yeah, I worked Horror Hound as an artist for many years, and there's a lot of guys that sell comics. If you want to email or you want to promote it here in the chat, I don't care if you want to tell people the name of the store. Feel free to. We'll come over to your table and talk and hang out. That'd be a lot of fun. And if we're going to do a live stream from the convention, if you want to be on that with us and give a shout out to your store to get people in there and rolling, I mean, feel free to. It's going to be a crazy fun weekend. It's going to be a big testing ground for Star Wars Celebration, because I know you guys are thinking Star Wars Celebration is so far away. Not for us. Like I said, July's been, a blink and you miss it month. Before you know it, it's Christmas. Before you know it, I'm at WrestleMania, and then the following week, I'm in Chicago. We're getting prepared now. I don't want you guys to forget. Lucasfilm wants you to forget. That's their plan. But Grendel fan, I usually I'll pick up old comics and stuff from the comic book vendors. I worked next to one at the Horror Hound here in Cincinnati, and that guy was pretty cool. He was making a killing on these vinyl records he was buying for Friday the 13th and selling those. I really need to learn how to do that. Brendan Horn, thank you very much. I've always been curious about whether the rise in popularity of Japanese manga and graphic novels has hurt or helped American comics. That's a good question. As a kid, my first introduction to that stuff was through the Viz comic reprints of Pokemon due to the popularity of Pokemon itself proper. There are a lot of people who like manga and anime and stuff like that don't do American books, American comic books. There's definitely a crossover. Like for me personally, I enjoy the European illustrated comics, a lot of the older stuff too, a lot of the old black and white 2000 AD and Metal Hurlant or Heavy Metal, however you want to say it. I think the Japanese stuff is doing all right because of the price barrier and the way it's it's a finite story in many places. Like you go to your local bookstore and there's Bleach volume 1 through 1,000 or something, but then it's done, and you could go each week and buy a new one and you're done. The ongoing story of Spider-Man isn't that interesting to a lot of people because to keep it ongoing, it gets dumb. I wouldn't be surprised down the road if Spider-Man and Batman aren't so much monthly books as they are yearly, boom, your thing, and they have like a complete story arc sold in a more manageable way. I don't want that. I would like if everybody and their mother went out to pick up the newest issue of Action Comics each month and did all that crap. But that's not going to happen. I think the way that manga has been packaged is what helps it a lot. Plus the influx of anime and the younger generation being exposed to it early on. I'm 29. As a kid, you would see Japanese stuff, but not know it was Japanese stuff because it wasn't, as widely released. Like Power Rangers, you knew it was different. Didn't realize it was Japanese. At least I didn't. I was 5. When you got a little older, you had Pokemon, you had all that stuff. Dragon Ball Z was a big one. Dragon Ball Z for me was like the first big one that I got into, and that shit was expensive. If you're someone out there that has tried to buy Dragon Ball Z stuff over the years, it was like $30 for a DVD with one episode on it. We're talking thousands of dollars to get the entire run, and they didn't even release the entire thing. So that's why I think they're okay financially. It's more expensive, and people will pay for that because there's this quality that goes along with it in terms of like perceived quality. In many ways, and many times it's true, they're very good, but just because it's Japanese, there's that appeal to it, and it makes sense that they'll spend that much more money on it. But thank you, Brendan. My favorite actor in the Fast and Furious franchise is The Rock, but my favorite character in the film is Vin Diesel or Jason Statham. Cesare Japan says, why were the Fox Marvel TV movies, Generation X, Nick Fury with David Hasselhoff, shitty compared to the Fox Marvel cartoons, X-Men, Spider-Man? I guess because it was a different time. It was, look what else was on TV too. Plus the budgets. CGI and TV shows weren't filmed like movies nowadays. Luke Cage and stuff filmed on similar equipment to a movie. I think when you have a budget and you're drawing stuff like with a cartoon, you can do anything. And maybe another thing too is those licenses, the rights were tied up with other places. So you couldn't have made a proper X-Men TV show due to the film rights or something, even though they were both at Fox. So you went with what you could get. And TV shows back then were hokey. That's how TV shows were represented. I mean, that's why I give a nod to something like Miami Vice that was so different and ahead of its time. And then stuff tried to copy it in terms of tone, and then that became like the standard. When those shows or when those movies were out, TV movies were that stupid. So in many ways, they were the standard. They just weren't respected. It really took Blade and X-Men and Spider-Man to bring a certain level of respectability to those. So that's probably why, because cartoons were the common medium where anything could happen. They just, you have a concept or a license and you have to produce something in that world. And that's why you had that difference in quality. Plus, all the good writers were doing other things. Comic book stuff, the properties weren't hot. You had people that were already in animation and they wanted to elevate animation. Then you had people that were already in TV doing better stuff, and these were like the leftovers. That's why David Hasselhoff was a big-ish get in 1998 when that movie came out. But it's reflective of the time. So thank you, Cesaro Japan. Let's see. Rhino4563 says, Titans trailer from DC just went up. Dark as hell, but good. I will check that out. And I'll talk about that tonight on World Class Bullshitters, Rhino. So make sure that you watch tonight, as well as all 510 of you, so we can have a big audience and we can discuss that. It'll be interesting to hear what Dion has to say. You know who I need to get on the channel is Joel, because I know you guys really don't know Joel that much, but Joel is a huge DC fan. Like, you will never meet anyone that knows more about DC from 1980 to 2014 than Joel. Joel read every book. I helped him package those books and move those books. Joel is a super, super fan. So I think he would be a good person to have discuss the Titans at great length. I'll try to get him when he's not working, and we'll do that. But thank you, Rhino. I hope you do come back for real. And if not, If we don't get into a good enough discussion, I'll talk more about it tomorrow. I think tonight what I'll do is I'll look up some Comic-Con. I almost called it podcast con. No, Comic-Con stuff. And we'll talk about that tomorrow morning. Friday's going to be a very fun show. Klaus Stork, there he is. Good morning. What movie sidekick would you like to be? Couldn't catch the past 2 days because of vacation, and I like to sleep in. I don't blame you. I like to sleep in too. So I would rather sleep in than catch this live, and you can catch it when you're, in the archives. So thank you, Klaus Stork. Which movie sidekick would I like to be? Preferably one that doesn't die. I don't know if I want to be the sidekick. You know what? Depending on your point of view, I'll take Tubbs from Miami Vice because technically it's a film. Jamie Foxx. And Crockett is the lead character. Yeah, they're Crockett and Tubbs the team, but Crockett is the main guy. Wouldn't mind being Tubbs from Miami Vice if you consider him a sidekick. If not, you know who wouldn't be a terrible sidekick? I know he's a joke, but being Robin is probably awesome as a sidekick because you live with Bruce Wayne, you have access to money and shit, and you can bring chicks back to Wayne Manor. I mean, that's awesome. I know people like to say, oh, they have this weird relationship and this and that and the other, but think about it. You basically get to mooch off Batman and have access to everything in the world. I think that'd be a pretty sweet gig to be Robin. Adult Robin, not, Tim Drake. My dad beats me because he's an alcoholic Robin. American Myth sent in a $5 super chat, so thank you very much. There's no message, but as always, I appreciate it just the same. Okay, so Jesus A. Sabalos Jr., first off said, I realize that the Fox Disney deal goes through. We may finally get X-Men 90s and Spider-Man cartoons released on Blu-ray along with the OT Star Wars. Yes. Now, if you had Hulu about a year ago, those were all on there in standard definition, whatever 480p is what they exist in. Those were all there already. If they do Blu-ray releases for Spider-Man and X-Men with remasters and special features and all that shit, I guess I'd have to kind of pull the trigger. That's my childhood right there. That Spider-Man show was so good. X-Men, I would do that too. I wish Marvel would just release all their cartoons on Blu-ray and pull the trigger, remaster them for Blu-ray, and then put those on the streaming service for Disney, and then you could buy the Blu-ray discs if you don't want to support the streaming service. Give you bonus features, cool box sets. And then Jesus also went to let me know that it's Jesus and Sabalos like ball. So Jesus A. Sabalos Jr. So I apologize for overdoing it, but now I know. And you have Alex Ross as Superman as your icon, so I remember you. So it's Jesus A. Sabalos Jr. Thank you very much. And OT Star Wars, a fan sent me the specialized editions, and I plan on reviewing those down the road. Dan Vinoy, Jeff, I'm worried about you, man. You're going to get cirrhosis liver if you keep having a watch party for every POS Disney Star Wars movie that comes out. Well, Dan, I'm very thankful that you're concerned with my health. I drink a lot of water, and I take some stuff to help filter out stuff, so I think I'm going to be okay. But it's either my mental health, and I use booze to help numb the pain, or my liver and kidneys. But either way, I'll make it through for you guys to enjoy it. So, Dan, thank you very much. And my body thanks you in advance. Yeah, Greg, I love the Miami Vice Calderon episodes too. Dion and I are going to be talking about that with Nick tonight a little bit. So, Gunnar Renee Oli, or Uyi, I apologize. I don't know how you pronounce that last part. The initial release of manga are usually single chapters in monthly anthologies printed on bad paper. The single series books get made later depending on what's popular. I was not aware of that. I guess that makes sense. Now, there were these Shonen Jump comic books that would come out at my grocery store. They were big, like phone book style things that would get these releases. and they were on like crappier paper, like newsprint and stuff like that. But I didn't know that's how they operated in Japan. It's kind of interesting how they seem so much more focused on their stuff. In many ways, it's just like the story is what dictates the success. So if the story is good, no matter the delivery system, the Japanese audience will be receptive to it, and then they'll be rewarded with a better quality one, and then the book will get. They should do that here in America instead of giving you, like, remember when Marvel went from those nice covers to those shitty same color, same paperweight covers that they have now, where they started to smudge and all that. Yeah, Marvel has been doing some dumb shit for a long time. But I think popularity is what should dictate a franchise's growth or continuation. They keep rebooting Captain Marvel every 2 days. There's a reason why they have to keep rebooting it. These new number ones for Spider-Man aren't bringing in the numbers they like to claim. Me personally, I'd rather be reading Spider-Man number 804 than Spider-Man number 2 and trying to keep up with the numbering system and all that stuff. It's very confusing. So the simple tricks and nonsense of the American comic book industry will be its downfall. So maybe they should look to Japan for some of the ways they do that stuff. Maybe continue to do these tests. I like how in American comics too, they do backup stories for characters, and if there's enough of a response, people will come out in droves and say we support this one, and then those characters will get a continuation or a new story. So I didn't know that's how it operated in Japan, but I find that stuff interesting. I've been listening to the story of the Yamaha company on YouTube, so I've always liked stuff from Japan. Like they say in Back to the Future 3, all the best stuff comes from Japan. Channel, welcome back. Sorry, Jeff, I call BS. Pablo was the writer behind Force Unleashed and LucasArts employee for years. Imagine my disappointment since then. Yeah, I imagine mine too, man. I think we can all agree we just want Star Wars and shit to be good. And if that guy had a pair on him, he would do something about it. But in this modern witch hunt that is SJW Hollywood, you can't. He can't. So he's all about self-preservation. Everyone's about self-preservation. So he can be preserved and he can have his job, but he won't have the respect of the fans, and the fans won't have the faith in the franchise, and then the fans won't spend money, and then his job will become obsolete. He will just be, he'll float away with the rest of the trash, like an Empire Strikes Back. Anthony Mata, wow, thank you very, very much for that. I have not heard anything about erotic comics on the show. Anybody have a favorite? Mine is the Druna series by, I'm not even going to attempt to butcher that name, but I know the series you're talking about. I've read that many times. Amazed how the artist uses cross-hatching techniques and draws voluptuous women. Anthony, thank you again. That's a very generous super chat. Yes, I know that character quite well, and I don't mean from like in a weird way. I believe he's Italian, right? To me, realism like that in comic books really could save comic books. Instead of this crap we get, I think they jokingly call it the Cal Art style in terms of Thundercats, and now we have this new She-Ra Power Princess. You get these people that get into art because, and they're just like, oh, I like art, and that either they don't work hard enough to get better or they can't. But to answer your question, because I'll stick on this for a minute. I've read the Druna stuff. I remember the one where she's on a beach with some dude and then they cut the guy's arm off. Like, I have some scans of it on my old computer, because in college when I was really trying to get into drawing women and stuff, instead of necessarily looking at real life stuff, I would always look at comic books, and that was one of the inspirations I'd have, because like, the art's amazing, and I like, women that look like that are awesome. So I was reading that for reference, and then for fun and all that shit too. But I don't really read a lot of erotic comics. I bought some to support back to Horror Hound. Many years ago, I was at Horror Hound, and this guy had one called like Big Breasted Vampire Lesbians or something. And the guy was really, really nice. And I bought one. I didn't buy it out of like pity, but I bought it because I'm like, this guy seems legit, and I really hope he can make a career out of this. So I bought it. It's kind of trashy. I think I read this Chuck Austin's his name? He had one. And then the Terry Moore, there's that one he does. It's not really an erotic comic book, but it's kind of like real life stuff, and it has like random sex scenes involved or something. I've read all kinds of different genres of comics, including Blueberry, which is a Western. So I do try to expand my horizons, but specifically the Druna one, I've encountered quite a bit. I'm always open to more comics from different genres. I saw one that was like a furry one, and I just put it back down. I was like, no, thank you. And my comic book store, they're not really conservative because the people that run it are awesome guys. But kids do shop there, so they usually keep anything that could be mildly erotic in a board bag. And you have to ask to take it out to look at it before you buy it. And to me, that's too much of a hassle. Plus, I'm not really looking to, get off on a comic. But that kind of storytelling does work. And comics are like movies in many ways, where you need to have all the genres covered so you can have something for everybody. If anything, my takeaway from the Druna books is just the beauty of the artwork. There's nothing more important. I don't want to say nothing more important in a comic book than beautiful art, because you can have shit storytelling. Let me go back on what I'm saying. You need a blend of both, but if your artwork, like Alex Ross stuff, could get away with bad stories and just beautiful art. There's nothing more important to me than like pseudo-realism in a comic book. I hate overly stylized work. Like not Marcos Martin. I like Marcos Martin. Umberto Ramos. I hate his artwork because it looks so cheesy and fake, and they have big square fat fingers and odd eyes. I think that's also hurting the comic book industry too. Yeah, you have the SJW influx where, femininity is evil and everyone has to look like a robot with a Ken doll crotch. But you also have these artists who are in a rush to get more work done, so they cut their styles back. Whatever happened to the masters, like a John Buscema or Ernie Chan, those guys on the Conan books? There was a lot of, they were like lower, they weren't, I'm not going to call them lower level Frank Frazettas, because that's a harmful thing to say about their talent. But they're like a Frank Frazetta. They had the fantasy down, but they also had so much power and elegance behind their work, and they're not there anymore. Those people were working on movies and other stuff like that. And that kind of stuff really hurts comic books in the long run. So thank you, Anthony Mata. I hope my answer was good enough for you. I'm aware of that series for sure. I can picture it right now in my head. The cross hatching, the coloring, everything's cool. There's one where she's on a beach and gets picked up by a dude. I like it. So, Layden Swallow 09, describe your love life only using Star Wars quotes. I'll give you a good one to close this out on. Let's think. Star Wars quote, my love life. I want to give you guys a good, funny one, but I want to also be honest. I like to say, look at the side of that thing, talk about some girl's butt, but last chick. Oh man, I have to think about that for a second. Okay, we have no more super chats. I can think of that for a second. Describe your love life only using Star Wars quotes. Damn, you stumped me. That's a good Star Wars quote. I keep thinking of Darth Vader, the ability to destroy a planet is insignificant next to the power of the Force. That has nothing to do with anything. Oh God, I'm drawing a blank here. Reach out with your feelings and act on instinct. That always helps. Just go with what feels right. So that's my best answer for you. Okay, hit it. That's a good one too. So folks, it's 10:05. I gotta put this baby to bed. So thank you to everyone who stuck with us this morning. This has been a very great episode of Good Morning Pop Culture. A lot of viewers that stuck around the entire time. We were about 500 or so the entire time. So Grand Inquisitor, sorry about the mess. There we go. The Grand Inquisitor. Thank you very much. Logan Michael, 69. Thanks for the stream and have a good one. As always, Logan Michael, you have a better one. Folks, I will be back tonight with World Class Bullshitters episode 132, where we'll be discussing something. I don't know yet. I haven't written the show. I have some stuff to do today, but I'll get back and I got to go out into the field and film some stuff for the channel, so be prepared for that. But thank you to everyone who's joined the channel recently. Thank you to everyone who's been around the entire time. And thank you to everyone who will continue to support the channel through your views and everything else. So I'll be back in just a few short hours with World Class Bullshitters. And if you need me, you know how to contact me. The Facebook page, the email address is worldclassbs@mail.com, thebestmail.com. And Trent, I'll take it easy and I'll have a good day. So you guys have fun, and I'll be back in a few short hours. Thank you.